Everyone wants to be stronger, not just physically, but in every part of life. But between confusing workout advice, complicated equipment, and trying to figure out nutrition, where does anyone even start? Well, to get stronger mentally and physically, go to Anytime Fitness. You'll get a personalized training, nutrition, and recovery plan, all customized to your body, your strength level, and your goals. You'll get expert coaching to optimize your results, anytime, anywhere, in the gym and on the Anytime Fitness app. And you'll get anytime access to 5,500 gyms worldwide, all with the right equipment to level up your strength gains and your life. So get started at AnytimeFitness.com. That's AnytimeFitness.com.
You've been listening to exclusive live coverage of LSU Fighting Tiger football on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Powered by People's Health.
Gets free inside the 15, the 10, the 5, and carries a Commodore into the end zone. Touchdown, Fighting Tigers.
LSU Fighting Tiger football. Proudly presented by Albertsons, Coca-Cola, Cox, Hancock Whitney, Louisiana Blue, McDonald's, and by Our Lady of the Lake Health.
Nussmeier flips it to Durham. Durham off and running, far side 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Fighting Tigers.
Hear the roar of LSU Fighting Tiger football. This is the LSU Sports Radio Network, powered by People's Health.
LSU Fighting Tiger football on Eagle 98.1 is brought to you locally by Our Lady of the Lake, Bayou GMC, Rouse's, Gulf State Toyota, Neighbors Federal Credit Union, Service Chevrolet, Pipe and Steel Industrial Fabrication, Super Chevy Dealers, Rev, Sterling Automotive, Lewis Mechanical, Arco Power Systems, and Supreme Automotive Group. This is LSU Fighting Tiger football on Eagle 98.1, the Rock Station.
LSU Fighting Tiger football is a presentation of the LSU Sports Radio Network, a division of LSU Sports Properties and Playfly Sports. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or streaming of the accounts and descriptions of this broadcast without the expressed written consent of LSU SP, Playfly Sports, or the university is strictly prohibited. LSU Sports Radio Network, a division of LSU SP and Playfly Sports.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Eagle 98.1 WDGL and AC1 Baton Rouge. Eagle 98.1 Game Day is on the air. Presented by Super Chevy and Yingling. Your local Super Chevy dealers and Yingling Flight. It's time to talk LSU football on the flagship home of the Tigers. Call 225-499-9898. It's Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Now, live from Rouse's on Burbank, here's Charles Hannegriff and Richard Dixon.
Diego Pavia puts on a show, and LSU's season teeters in the balance. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Eagle 98.1 Game Day. I'm Charles Hannegriff, along with former Tiger Richard Dixon. LSU lost today 31-24 to fall to 5-2 on the season, and as bad as that was to lose up in Nashville to Vanderbilt, it just begins to tell a story of the disappointment of the LSU fan base today. I feel like, and we're going to do a little bit of big picture stuff here today, but we're going to do probably a lot more on just the game before we get going into the big picture stuff. But today felt like, from the very beginning of the week, like a watershed moment for this season for Brian Kelly, that with a win in Nashville today, you could come back home next week for a giant game with Texas A&M with a week off past that to get you into November. If you would have one loss going into November, you felt like, well, you had a mulligan to play with. Your chances of making the college football playoff would have been decent coming out of this game. They would have improved greatly if you had won a game next week at Tiger Stadium, which might have at some point included game day, or at the very least a sellout crowd and unlimited excitement for the game. But with a loss, it was going to leave your season on the verge of extinction. And despite the fact that Vanderbilt is certainly not the Vanderbilt of years past, it was still losing to Vanderbilt. And a lot of the confidence that people went into this season with was going to evaporate if you went on the road and lost to Ole Miss, who is better, and Vanderbilt, who is better. But by no means do you think that they should be better than LSU. Vanderbilt played smarter and tougher all day from the very beginning of this thing, the same way Ole Miss did to LSU 2 weeks ago. The Tigers got outplayed, and the Tigers got outcoached. And anybody who listened to this show over the years knows how much I hate it when, you got to say somebody was outcoached, because a lot of times it's somebody drops a pass, somebody misses an assignment, somebody does something. You're like, well, you weren't coached to do that. You just did it. No. When you make the same mistakes over and over again, when you have no answers for the questions that have been plaguing you all year, when you know what the other guy is going to do and you still can't do anything about it, no, you have been outcoached. You have gone into a game unprepared. What am I talking about? Well, one of the big problems with facing Vanderbilt is containing Diego Pavia and getting them off the field on third down. They talked about it all week. Keep them in some kind of down and distance is disadvantageous to them. And whatever you do, do not let Diego Pavia get on the perimeter and start to make plays. So what happened? On the very first drive, 2 third downs, including a 3rd and 8, LSU busts. Another 3rd down and 6 on the second drive, and they bust. And how many times did Pavia, who is a great college football player, okay? I want to give the kid all the credit in the world. He has done the impossible. He has gone into Vanderbilt and given that program hope. I didn't think that was possible in my lifetime. Diego Pavia gets all the props in the world. He is a great college football player. There ain't any doubt about that. But time and time again, you allowed him to escape. Time and time again, you had no idea about contain. How many times did Harold Perkins get sucked up inside on plays where Pavia just very simply rolls the other way? So you were trying to get off the field on third down. You couldn't do that. Vanderbilt had the ball 4 times in the first half. They scored 2 touchdowns and a field goal, and they were a 4th and short away from converting the third time. The other things, LSU in the red zone. This has been a problem from the very beginning of the season. And in the first half, you get a first down inside the 30, sack, incomplete. Next drive, you get to the Vandy 37, 1st and 10. LSU, they get a penalty, they get a 1-yard run, they get a missed field goal. 1st and 10 at the Vandy 34, -2, incomplete, field goal. In the first half, your offensive red zone was still a mess, and your defense can't get on the field off the field on third down, and you can't contain Pavia. Rich, these were the things that were at the top of the board for you to try to get in there and do. And you go out there in the first half and you just stunk up Broadway.
Man, it's terrible. This is a Joe Sloan. This is a Brian Kelly. This is an offensive issue. And you started this and I'm just talking about the red zone problems. You started this year, this has been an issue. I remember saying last year in postgame that I feel better outside the 30 with our chances of scoring a touchdown than I do inside the 20. And I don't know what it is. We clamped down. And look, last week we went to the store. We talk about the goddamn star explosion play, whatever, with Trey Green getting him one-on-one. And we've done it in the Clemson game. We did it last week. But we get multiple times down here inside the 15, inside the 10, where that is what you need to go to. I don't give a damn if you saw it on film last week. He's 6'7", get him in a one-on-one situation, but we run from it. Now, I did like the variance early on in the game. We motioned him out where they think there's going to be a high point play on the backside and he runs a slant. I think that was a bad thrown ball. Great catch by Trey. And we got lucky right there. But I feel like there's so much relying on luck right now. Like, our big plays come from just a little bit of luck.
Like the Xavier Thomas play, which was a great individual play
by him
and by Nussmeier to get
getting
out
it
of
off. But it was floated. He had that was an interception all day. Usually the way he got hit.
Yeah, that was a great individual play by Thomas mostly and Nussmeier as well, but mostly Thomas. And
the Trey Green one, he was backing up. Like, I like the design of the play. Like, I've scored a touchdown against South Carolina that in 08, the same exact style, but it wasn't protected well. It got flushed so back to where he had to scoot so far back that he had to make a bad throw, and he had to pick it off the ground.
The second half, if possible, was more frustrating, at least for me, than the first. Vanderbilt, 2 more third down conversions on drives and a fourth down conversion on a drive led to 2 touchdowns in the early portions of the third and into the later portions of the third quarter. And then the part where I try not to text you during games. We watch the game independently, then we meet for this, right? But this was the part where I try to stay calm. I'm very good at it. As I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot better at it. But that was the part where I wanted to absolutely scream. 1st and goal at the Vandy 2 that turned into a 23-yard field goal. This sequence was the microcosm of the LSU season was in this sequence, which was, in my opinion, the most frustrating sequence that I've seen all year. 1st and goal at the Vandy 2. And you run on 1st and goal from the 2. This is after Durham broke the long run. You get a yard. Okay, fine. Now, you got 2nd down and goal from the 1-yard line. So what are you going to do? Okay, the first thing is they've got more people going in and out. It looked like the T-Bob at Tennessee play. They were completely out of sorts. They got guys coming in. They got guys going out. It looked like it was absolute chaos down there because you don't know what you're going to run on 2nd and goal from the 1, okay? You don't know what you're going to run on 2nd and goal from the 1. You don't know what you're going to run on 2nd and goal from the 1. This ought to be something that you practice over and over and over again. This is goal line situation. This is 1 yard away from the damn goal line, and you don't know what formation you're going to be in. You don't know what personnel's in the game, and you don't know what you're going to run.
That's pathetic. I mean,
it gets worse.
Keep going.
You got to call timeout, which at this point there's 11 and a half minutes to go in the game, and you haven't been able to stop Vanderbilt all day, so you figure one stop maybe. These timeouts are going to be precious, and you got to burn one there. And if this was the first time you had to burn a timeout because you didn't know what the hell was going on, that would be one thing. But this is not something that is foreign to this team. So you've had a physical mistake because you can't make 2 yards. You got a mental mistake because you don't know who's going to be in the game. You got to burn a timeout, and you still don't know what you're going to run. So you go back out there, and you compound it with what? A penalty. And so now you got to back up 5 more yards. Now what you going to run? From the 6-yard line. Now you're going to run a direct snap to Juwan Johnson, a play that is not completely useless. It's something that we would like to have seen at other points in the season. But on the goal line, did you learn nothing? Last week, Juwan Johnson fumbled on the damn goal line. He is listed at 210 pounds, and if he weighs 210 pounds, I weigh 110 pounds, okay? I'm telling you, he ain't that big. And this is the guy you're going to give the ball from the 6-yard line.
You know where
this
I start with?
Go ahead.
Get Trey Green back to the freaking one-on-one.
Yes. Okay.
Like, why don't you go back to that play? When you've done it, it has been a touchdown. It cannot be stopped at this point until you prove me you can. But you go to this gimmick BS and try to do other things. Like, I don't get why they go from week they run the plays that work, and then the next week they're like, oh, that we put that on film. Let's not get back to it.
Because you can't hammer the ball for 2 feet. You're back in the shotgun again. I mean, you need 2 feet. The ball is inside the 1-yard line. You need 2 feet, and you're not tough enough to run 2 feet against Vanderbilt. You're not tough enough to get 2 feet of real estate. You got to call timeout. You got to have a penalty. You got to run a gimmick play that didn't work last week, and you can't. It's all because you ain't tough enough to get 2 feet, and you're not smart enough to know what you're doing down there. Again, I'm not done. Now you got 3rd down, okay? Now you're finally going to try to get the ball to Trey Green, okay, who is covered because you've already run this play on the 2-point conversion. So you've already showed this, okay? And I'm not saying when something works you don't go back to it, but you got one shot here. So this turns into a 23-yard field goal. But still, you had an opportunity. The defense finally forces a punt. The Vanderbilt punter was very upset. He was down on Broadway having a margarita. I mean, they had to call him on his cell phone and say, hey, man, come back to the stadium. We actually need you. Yeah. So they get a 3-and-out. And then what happens? So this is the part in the game where you might have a little momentum. Finally, you ain't had momentum the whole game. I mean, this has been Vanderbilt from the minute they stepped out of the tunnel. It's been on them. You finally got to stop. You finally got Diego Pavia on the ground. You force a punt. They got a 4th down stop in the first half. And what happens? The first play, your left tackle gets run over. The second play, You gain nothing. The third play, on a 3rd and 16, Nussmeier makes another unbelievable play to get out of trouble. He throws the ball down 16 yards. It's 3rd and 16 to Berrien Brown, and you get a holding penalty on the right tackle, who they still have not taught how to get out of his damn stance. It's week 7.
He makes too much money.
Okay.
I don't get it. Like, we talked about it the other day.
Yeah.
And I try to be quiet about the whole deal. The most frustrating part of this deal, like, I've been positive about a lot of Brian Kelly stuff. There's things that needed to happen to this program. There's things that he needed to straighten up, and I thought he did a good job of it. But when you say the other day, and the post-press conference, whatever it was, that, we know he's struggling, but we see the potential, and we don't want to derail that, so we're going to go ahead and keep him in the game. You're telling me that he's not the best player now for that position, but you see potential, so we're just going to ride with him.
Been nice long enough, okay? We saw the other kid against Ole Miss. He's better.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like to do personnel decisions like that because, you want to defer to the coaches. They see he's better. I'm sorry.
And I'll go back to that game where, look, he wasn't perfect either.
No.
But he's a freshman.
No.
I mean, 50% of the time, he didn't know what he was doing. Guess who that's on? The coaches.
Yes.
The other part of the time, when he knew what he was doing, he played his ass off, busted his tail, fired off, and finished people. Yeah, so you want to say that, well, this guy knows what he's doing most of the time but gets his butt whipped. This guy whips somebody's butt for the 40% of the time. He knows what he's doing. But that's on coaching. You got to coach that guy up.
And the offensive line coaching up has been minimal at best, and that's been quite generous because there's experienced guys last year, inexperienced guys this year. They have not been coached up. They have not improved.
The best offensive linemen on this team have been coached by somebody else.
Amazingly, they got another stop. Okay, give the defense a little bit of credit there. At the end, they get another stop, and LSU gets the ball back. And what do they do on first down? They run a little spot pass that they've been running. Now, this is supposed to be an extension of the run game, and they've had a little bit of success with it. But the success has been – I'm watching Ole Miss run this play, okay? Ole Miss routinely makes 7 to 12 yards on this play. LSU's lucky if they get 4 because nobody blocks.
No.
And nobody blocked on this thing. So right out the chute, you got another shot at this, okay? Amazingly, you are still in this game where you have been bullied, like to use your word, okay? -4 because nobody blocks somebody on the perimeter on this play that's supposed to be a staple of your offense. A short catch, another short ball dropped, a punt, and then Vandy runs it out right down the heart of your defense. Buries you. And Pavia, at the end of the game, makes a smart play, okay? He could have run it in the end zone, and they probably would have won. But if he falls down at the 2-yard line, there's no way they can lose. All they got to do is kneel the ball. If he runs it in, there's an outside chance, okay? There's a miracle, okay? You kick the ball, LSU, let's say Berrien Brown takes it back for a touchdown. You get an onside kick, you get a miracle. But, I mean, a 0.1000001 chance. But if Pavia falls down, because he's a smart player, chance is 0. And that's what happened there. This is one of the more frustrating games that I have watched because they don't play smart and they don't play tough, and everything that they said they wanted to do during the week, they did very little of.
They never do. I mean, I feel like every week I watch a press conference for a BK excuse. And when you keep coming back to me like, well, we got the guys, we got the talent, we got the players, we just got to execute.
They don't.
You're telling on yourself every week when you do that, and you're telling on somebody because execution comes down to being coached. And you coach them to execute, and when you don't do it consistently, and I hear every time we lose a game, we don't execute, we didn't do this, we didn't do that. I mean, at some point, that's not on anybody else other than the guys that you put in place.
Brian Kelly, after the game, had these remarks up after the 31-24 loss.
Day, obviously. I just told our team.
They have that.
We had opportunities. We didn't cash in on.
We didn't execute.
Cash in from an offensive standpoint. We had 3 opportunities to score that were field goals. And look, our guys know we were playing a team that was going to make it very difficult for us to possess the football. We had 3 possessions in the first half, so it's like playing triple option, and we did not play well enough on either side of the ball to be the better team today. And Vanderbilt was the better team today because they executed at a higher level. So when you look at it in its totality, defensively, not enough stops, and offensively, when we had an opportunity to score touchdowns, we had to kick field goals, and that was the difference in the game.
I made a promise to the audience back in August. I routinely speak to groups in August, preseason, previews and stuff like that. And, of course, we do the show. And I said, okay, here's how the offseason set up. Brian Kelly said, we don't have a good enough roster. We need a bunch of money. We need to go out and put together a roster. Okay. They did that. We did multiple shows. Yeah. A lot of these guys are talented. Most of them are not contributing, at least the way you had hoped that they were. Some of them are. Delane is fantastic, okay, for instance. But you are not getting the return on the investment off that poor class. And when he said that, they gave him the money. They went out. They did this. And this was to make up for past recruiting deficiencies. I said, okay, here it is. He was brought in to make the playoffs back when it was a 14 playoff, and now it's a 12-team playoff. Your excuses are done. So if with all this money and all these resources and everything you have asked for, the staff you want, the players you want, scheme you want, everything, stadium's full, money's in the bank. You got everything you want. If this doesn't work, it's on you. It ain't on the OC. It ain't on the DC. It ain't on the quarterback. It ain't on the athletic director. It's on you, boss. So you can own it, but this is nobody's fault except Brian Kelly's. You can say, oh, well, the offensive line is not playing well. The offensive line is not playing well because the offensive line coach is not coaching well, in my opinion, and the offensive line coach was hired by the head coach. All goes back to him. It's on him. When
you talk about, I listened to the broadcast on the game. They're like, wow, they got youth, they got redshirt sophomores, and redshirt freshmen. Those are all guys that have been in college football for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And those are 5-star guys, 4-star guys. You know what great offensive linemen do? They come in and they play their freshman year. I've seen it, especially this day and age. Your best ones were redshirt freshmen. They come in and dominate from redshirt freshmen because they were good. But these guys were getting here, and it's to the point where I don't know if it's – I can't say bad recruiting or bad evaluation because everybody else was high on these guys, but they're not developing. Yeah. They're not getting to the point to where they're redshirt freshmen and redshirt sophomores, and we're using the excuse that they're young. That crap doesn't play with me. Look, I played as a true freshman that it never blocked anybody. I came out, it was a defensive end that went in on pass plays. You learn it because I had a great coach. Josh Henson coached me up to where, I had the mentality to where I was going to throw my body on the line. He taught me how to do it. These guys have the physical abilities, the strength. They have everything, but they're not coached well. They play high. They play soft. They lean back. I can't imagine a world of where, and I say this a million times, when you go back to the guys I play with, most of them weren't offensive linemen in high school. They were, Greg Stradraw was a hell of a coach. Stacey Searles was a hell of a coach. He took defensive linemen that never touched the field on offense. And we blocked guys and run for over 200 yards. We didn't get bullied, didn't get pushed back because we knew how to play with leverage. At this point, these guys look the part, but they can't play the part.
You said soft. Soft's a good word. And that's kind of what I came out of this game with. And it's been going on for a lot of the year, but they won most of the games. They won 5 out of 6, so you're okay. You're waiting for them to turn the corner. Maybe the quarterback was hurt. Maybe you just need a little bit more time with some of these guys. They don't play tough, and they don't play smart, and that's on the coach.
You can go back to 5 out of 6. How good did you feel in 5 of those wins?
I felt really good after the first one, but that was fool's goal. Yeah. 499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. We'll take your calls here at Rouse's. Vanderbilt wins at 31-24. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Eagle 98.1 Game Day from Rouse's here, Burbank at Lee. Let them cover your game day spread here at Rouse's. 499-9898 is the number on the Hooters hotline. All right, let's hear from you. Andrew is in Laplace to start things off. Andrew, welcome in the show.
I got a few points, and I'll be quick. Number one, I think nobody's talking about our defense struggles against a mobile quarterback. Ole Miss and now Vanderbilt. The defense still struggles against running quarterbacks. And then 2 drives in the fourth quarter. I think we had one with about 7 minutes left, 3rd and long. We run the ball. We run clock off, and when you could have thrown it, worst case scenario, it's incomplete, and you save about 30, 40 seconds off the clock. And then it's inexcusable. 3 minutes left in the game, 4th down. I don't care where you are on the field. You have to go for it right there. We hadn't stopped them all game. You have to go for it right there and keep momentum to possibly, go down and win the game. And that's it. I think we gave up on that last drive. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it. As far as the mobile quarterbacks, Klubnik was a mobile quarterback. First of all, they're all mobile quarterbacks now. LSU's got the only quarterback that can't run. Clemson had a mobile quarterback. They did a decent job with him. Sellers can run at South Carolina. Believe me, they did a decent job against him. They haven't done a good job the last 2 weeks. So,
the last 2 weeks, one with Sellers did a well job.
I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago again.
And Ole Miss, I don't think it was terrible. He extended plays, made some 3rd downs. And look, is mad. This was the worst defensive performance we've had all year long, but still, and go back to what he's talking about when it's the 4th and 8. We got to stop. The defense showed up at the end of the game. We got 2 crucial stops. Got Vanderbilt with a 4 and out and a 3 and out.
Yeah.
But that's when I was upset with the defense just because I expected a bigger play from them. They got the stops with the gun to their head. It's do or die now. It's over. The offense comes out. Has 2 back-to-back 3 and outs for a total of negative 10 yards.
I would have gone for it as well, right there. But at least
I agree.
But at least I understand the argument. Okay, give me a valid argument for punting there. The valid argument is that you actually had gotten 2 stops the previous 2 drives, and you had 2 timeouts plus a 2-minute warning. There is a scenario there that you can win the game. Okay, it's not what I would have done, but at least I understand it. Okay, you got to give me good faith reasoning for it. If they had not stopped them in the second half at all, I would have said no. You got to go for it, and I still would have gone for it. But at least I understand the reasoning.
Yeah, I mean, I try to say. I don't know.
I wouldn't have done. I would have gone for it.
You get 2 drives at the end of the game, and you go 6 plays.
Yeah. It didn't feel like they were going to get another stop. Jeff is in Baton Rouge on the Hooters Hotline. Jeff, welcome in the show.
Charlie, Rich, I don't want to waste a lot of time on praising y'all. I love you guys because y'all feel our emotions, the positive and negative. Charlie, last time we talked was in 2017 after we lost to Troy. That was an Ogeron game, and it was. I felt the frustration. We all feel the frustration. This is that moment. We all feel it. I don't know what we do to come back from this. I mean, I hate to say it feels like the beginning of the end. As fans, we're all frustrated. We're all mad. We're all drinking. What do we do? And so I'm trying to think up solutions here. I'm trying to be constructive. Do we add a dollar? Do we add a box combo tax to every Canes box? Like, what do we do here? I mean, we just watched us run a 3rd and 20 with 4 minutes to go, a draw. Why do you not throw the ball deep and hope for a pass interference, even if it's an interference? I mean, even if it's an interception, it's a punt. We're all frustrated. I know y'all feel it. I feel it. We all feel it. And, like, how do we fix this? That's what we all want to do. Clearly, the defense was the issue through 3.5 quarters tonight. But then, finally, when the defense gets 2 stops, the offense is exactly what we've seen.
Right. Thank you for the call. Here's what you do. Nobody wants to hear this today, but I'm going to give you a couple of examples. And, funny as it may seem, they both come after Vanderbilt games, okay? You got a coach right now. This will be the toughest spot of Brian Kelly's LSU tenure. You got to go in there into that locker room and make them believe, and you got to go out there and you got to coach the little things better and the big things better, and all these things that have been plaguing you all year, you got to coach them better. Now, let me give you 2 examples. was the last time LSU lost to Vanderbilt? 1990, okay? Todd Kinchin, offensive pass interference, last play of the game. LSU completed the Hail Mary. They waved it off. What happened the next week? The next week, LSU beat a highly ranked Texas A&M team in Tiger Stadium. It was the game where Kinchin zigzagged all over the field. 1997, they went to Nashville. They beat Vanderbilt 7-6, got lucky, missed extra point, looked like garbage doing it, lost Cecil Collins for what ended up being the rest of his career in that game. And what happened the next week? They came back and they beat the number 1 team in the country, Florida, in Tiger Stadium. I'm not telling you that to tell you that next week everything's going to be all better. I'm telling you that those teams went back and worked at it and came back with some resolve. I have no idea if this team will.
No, I mean, look, that's what we always do. You want to go to the film room, go to the practice field, fix everything that you had mistakes on. My problem is we're not fixing any of the things that we have mistakes on.
No, you haven't.
And to me, so what can we do? Can we coach it better? Then why didn't we coach it better the last 4 weeks? The last 16 games. I mean, there's things that are appearing week in and week out. And look, we get lucky with some big plays because we have great athletes. We have some of the best players in the SEC. So when we make these bad plays that get lucky and then we all of a sudden we're like, oh, yeah, we're still scoring touchdowns, making big plays. Well, that's because you have great athletes. There's things right now that I'm questioning that I don't feel good about, and I just don't see where they get better.
You understand that because I said that has happened. It does not mean that I think that will happen. 499-9898 on the Hooters hotline. Joel's in New Mexico. Joel, welcome in the show.
LSU has become, man. We got an offensive coordinator that reminds you of Coach Klein from South Central LSU Mudcats before Bobby Shea put him in his place. Our head coach reminds you of Kookie the Clown. All while Ole Miss, who is undefeated and beat us, their quarterback last year was playing for Polk High, which is Al Bundy's alma mater. Go Tigers.
I like the pop culture, so we could use a little levity.
But, I get it. I sit here and look, we got 2 TVs on us right now, and I'm watching better offenses on both TVs. I'm watching plays get executed. I'm watching a push of the offensive line. This is where I just get frustrated because, the defense didn't have their best night tonight, and we all get that. I'm not freaking out about the defense because guess what? When the game was on the line, they got 2 stops. The offense didn't push forward.
I'm disappointed.
Okay,
but Diego Pavia is a great college football player. I'm going to say it again, okay? Give the kid credit. He's like I said in the open, he's done something that I didn't think was possible. He has lifted Vanderbilt, okay? Vanderbilt into contention in the Southeastern Conference. And this is not something that is exclusive to LSU. They beat Alabama up there last year when Alabama was ranked higher than LSU. Gave Texas a 3-point game. They are a good football team despite the fact that everybody's going to say that they are Vanderbilt. Yeah. That does not, resolve any of the disappointment that I've got. But that's a really good football player over there.
The frustration to me is we 100% agree that Vanderbilt is a better football team than LSU this year.
I watched it for the last few hours.
They don't have better talent than LSU does. So that's where I get really frustrated. I mean, they don't have, 11. The 22 guys on the team are not better. They're better coached. They execute better. They have a little bit more fire in them.
A lot more fire in them today. And they play a lot smarter. 499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. We'll take a break. Be back with more. Vanderbilt wins at 31-24. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Eagle 98.1.
Vanderbilt wins at 31-24. 499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. Mike is in Baton Rouge. He's next up. Mike, welcome into the show.
It's been a long time since I've called into you. But I want to tell you, when Brian Kelly came to Baton Rouge, I wasn't sure about this at all. And it seems to me that there's no emotion on the sidelines. We have the players. They are ready to play, but they're not coached up, which I think you alluded to earlier in your show. And I'd like for you to comment on that for me.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Richard, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just got done saying that we have very talented players. We are a more talented team than Vanderbilt, but we just don't play with great technique. We don't play with the desire. Like, I don't want to be careful how I say it, because all these kids want to win. All these kids don't go out there and like, oh yeah, whatever happens, happens. I mean, they're busting their ass out there to win this game. But there's things that they're doing that they're not doing with great technique, which is coaching. You know, I remember the most miserable part of my practice ever was the first 30 minutes, because it was individual. And we had great coaches that were busting our butts, making sure we did everything right. We were hitting the dummies, hitting, practice guys, and we had to play with great technique before we could even get to individual. And these guys, time and time again, just play with poor technique, and, they just, I'm going to say execute, which bothers me more, because Brian Kelly in every press conference says, well, yeah, everything was good, we just didn't execute. Well, execution comes from busting your butt in practice and making sure you execute on every situation.
You know what the biggest surprise to me about Kelly's tenure here has been, in regards to his coaching, is the lack of attention to detail. I really thought that was the thing, right? He was going to be the CEO. Everything was going to be buttoned up, okay? He was never looked at as a great recruiter, and the recruiting results have been mixed. The transfer portal since he got here has become a new animal with NIL. He was behind the curve on that, which also surprised me. But the biggest thing has been I really thought, watching him at Notre Dame and at Cincinnati before that, was that this was a coach that understood the attention to detail. And I really am surprised that the number of timeouts that they've had to burn, the number of times that they have been in the wrong formation, the number of times, how many times have you done it on the film study that we do? Your hat's on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Your first step is wrong, okay? Your first step is wrong in week 1. All right, bummer. Go back and fix it. Your first step is wrong in week 2. Your first step is wrong in week 7, okay? The guy that you're defending, teach him how to step. Teach him how to get out of a stance. It's not just one penalty, here or there. A guy loses his head, he makes a stupid play. Okay, it happens. How in the world is Harold Perkins crashing on every one of these things when they know Diego Pavia is going to kill you on the outside if you don't keep? Now, they did a better job in the second half with that a little bit. Pyburn got him, and he's just going to make some plays. Like Pyburn had him dead to rights one time, and he just got out of it, and it's like, okay, nice play. But that's the part, the little things that just kill them.
Launch points, angle points, where you're going.
Angles, yes.
This is what's frustrating with me is, like, I don't care that, Perkins is coming off the edge on all these plays, but why is he going to the upfield shoulder? I mean, you have a reason to where you always go to their backside shoulder, because when they roll out, they got to go deeper. You never want to go to the infield shoulder where they roll out and they got the lane. Like, that's where I'm really frustrated with, because, look, I'm not going to talk bad on Perkins or, P.J. Woodland, any of them. I saw him coming off the edge multiple times. It's like we're rushing and the play is there, but we're going to his upfield shoulder to where he can roll out. You always have a launch point. And just what you just said, we're talking about putting your hat on the right side, taking the right step, doing things to where, you prevent the bad things, the negative plays. All the rushes that we had where we're rushing at him, and all he has to do is take a step back, and he's got the open field.
I thought that those things would be better. Yeah. I really did. It's good to see we got some callers coming out that haven't called us in like 7 or 8 years, though.
Well, this is the type of loss that'll pull them out, I promise you.
I got to laugh just to keep from going crazy.
Oh, man.
Fernando is in South Carolina. Fernando, welcome into the show.
Afternoon, y'all. Just getting into the logistics. Sorry, I hear myself echo. I feel like with the tenure of Brian Kelly, we've kind of seen a bit, I guess, the lack of flair in recent years. And I just want to ask what y'all's opinion is concerning, like, the future. Would it be more of a Matt House situation of 23 in terms of offensive staff overturn, or will the Penn State firing of James Franklin set a precedent for next year? I'll hang up. Thank you.
That's a great question. The Penn State situation, I think, it turned college football's hierarchies, a lot of these athletic departments, on their ear this week. And you won't see it publicly just yet, but what I mean by that is nobody expected Penn State to buy out James Franklin.
What was the buyout?
It was north of right at $50 million. Okay, even for a school as wealthy as Penn State, nobody expected them to do that. I mean, we had these conversations about Jimbo a couple of years ago with Texas A&M. That was 70, almost 80. I think it was 78. Even if you have all that money, I mean, it was a big bite for LSU to buy out Ed Ogeron the last time, and that was 17. We're watching Billy Napier in Florida in a dogfight with Mississippi State. He may lose his job tomorrow. That's 20. Up at Mike Norvell at Florida State. Okay, well, he's done after the season. It's $61 million there. And when the number gets high enough, you just go, man, that's just not doable. Okay, and then Penn State does this. And so now it's almost like, well, that guy was literally about 2 minutes away from the national championship game last year. Yeah. And 3 weeks ago, 15 days before he got fired, he was number 2 in the country and playing another top team in double overtime. And he got fired. And so now this becomes the expectation of other programs that are on the same level as Penn State, which LSU thinks that they are. And have been. In fact, they've been well north of Penn State for the last 25 years. Now, not the 25 years before that, but the last 25 years, they've been much better than Penn State, even though you guys lost in the mud in 2010. But anyway, I'm trying a little levity, a little. But their expectation now is different. It's just like, well, come up with $50 million. Penn State did. I don't know if it's going to lead to a lot of – I mean, if you talk about some of the jobs that are on the line, Luke Fickell at Wisconsin, Norvell at Florida State, Hugh Freeze at Auburn, in addition to the ones at UCLA, Arkansas, Oklahoma State that have already been fired, Napier maybe tomorrow, and you go, wow, we're just throwing $50 million around now?
You know who's doing a great job? Agents.
Yeah, Jimmy Sexton's going to have a very nice Christmas every year he does.
I heard somebody on the radio, it was national, talking about that Sexton has caused more deficits in college universities than anything else in the world.
Whoever said that is not wrong.
Yeah.
The numbers have been
But to me,
ridiculous.
So go back to this right now, and I think the Napier deal is kind of interesting. You said his buyout's $20 million?
Yeah, it's at 21.
Brian Kelly's is 60 right now?
It's a little over 50.
A little over 50?
At 53 or something like that. It's
start the same year. I mean, at some point, like, I'm all for people making their money and doing this, and I realize that to go get a good coach, you got to throw a good offer. But god dang, man, when you're getting to the point to where, like, I know all these guys have egos and want to win, but when you're getting the worst case scenario is I suck and you got to pay me $60 million
to go somewhere else.
Like, this is ridiculous.
No, like, it's beyond ridiculous. I've wondered for a while when the ADs strike back, and
they're all weak. They ain't gonna do it because
their job's on the line.
Yeah,
their job's on the line. If you the AD at Indiana, his name's blanking on me right now. He hires Kirk Cignetti. It ends up being the greatest hire in the history of the football program there. If somebody comes and hires him out from under them, the AD's in the crosshairs. Because if the next guy comes in and doesn't win, well, he's out. Okay? So he's going to do everything in his power to make sure the coach doesn't leave. The worst thing you can do is hire a bad coach. The second worst thing you can do is hire a good coach and let somebody come get him from you.
Yeah.
So the fear factor is huge. And if it were my job, I'd probably feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot, but my God, I mean.
So to answer your question, I think the Penn State thing is going to spur a lot of discussion in a lot of athletics departments. Do I think that they would make a move on Brian Kelly after this year? I do not. I do not. 499-9898 is the number on the Hooters hotline. Aaron is in Baton Rouge. Aaron, welcome into the show. Sam?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, guys. First-time caller. Like the show. I want to get your guys' opinion on this team got soft and weak when Tommy Moffitt was fired. Huge mistake on BK. This team's weak, has no drive, and no explosion off the ball. Sit back and listen to your comments, let you discuss. Thanks.
This one's yours.
Tommy Moffitt's the best to ever do it. I'm not putting this on strength and conditioning. I mean, look at the guys out there. This goes back to what we've said previously. It's technique and execution. These guys are not playing with great pad leverage. They're not getting below them. They're not using their hands correctly. They're taking bad steps. These are things that, you have to do to be successful. And time in and time out, we're just not doing it and getting beat, and it's usually by poor technique.
I'm going to say something I don't want to upset you, okay? I know Tommy Moffitt as well, not anywhere near as well as you do, but I know him, and had nothing but respect for the job that he did here, okay? And the job that he did at Miami before that, and the job that he's doing at A&M now. The guy is the absolute gold standard in the industry. I get it. But I always know when things have really gone south on a coach when they start getting into the strength and conditioning guy, because as good as Moffitt was, the weight room's still over there. They have access to every tool, okay, every piece of equipment, every piece of technology, every technique. They can hire whoever they want. And I think Tommy Moffitt was a great strength and conditioning coach. I really do. He's not the only one, okay? And they have access to everything that they need over there. And Jack Marucci's still running he's got a fancy title now, but Jack.
Sports science director.
Yeah, Jack's got as much insight into the technology of strength conditioning, rehab, monitoring the players, everything from heartbeats to, how much they run and all that. They've got everything over there. If I thought that this was a problem, if anybody thought that this was a problem, that they were not going to the weight room or using the right techniques or things like that, I think the results would be a lot worse.
Well, techniques change. I mean,
and you got to be on top of that.
The Tommy Moffitt that coached me and that I trained under is not the Tommy Moffitt that trained my brother, who played 4 years after.
Right.
Things change. The sports science world grows. You understand more. They get more information. They get more feedback. Their game changes as well. I mean, the 26-110s is what, Tommy Moffitt was famous for. Everybody did it. Everybody had to compete it, or you were in trouble, and you ran it every morning. By the time the end of my brother years he was playing, the sports science came in. He's like, why are we making offensive linemen run 110 yards? They don't need to do that. So their conditioning changed. Things change from year to year. I'm not putting this on strength and conditioning. This is strictly coaching and technique.
And with all of that, Moffitt's great.
Yeah, Moffitt's unbelievable.
He kept up with everything, but I don't believe that they're
He's been through the golden
here.
era to where he was with Miami when they were at their top. He was with LSU when they were at their top. Oh, by the way, I think Ole Miss's strength coach tutelage under Tommy Moffitt. Pretty sure Alabama, when Nick Saban went over there, he took Tommy Moffitt's guys. Like, everybody is taking people from Tommy Moffitt. It's kind of like I compare him, which is going to sound crazy, to Nick Saban. Like, you talk about Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin, all these other coaches that come from him. I promise you, you go look at, go do your deep dive and look into all these SEC strength and conditioning programs. Most of them tutelage under Tommy Moffitt.
And isn't it, look, I understand all the techniques and all of the science and all the technology, and everybody's got access to all that stuff. At the end of the day, it doesn't a great strength and conditioning coach have a bond with the players?
I was told from very beginning that fall in love with your strength and conditioning coach, not your coaches, because you're going to spend more time with them.
They have you the entire offseason, which is a lot longer than the regular season. And they got you in the regular season, too. A lot of it is psychology.
Yeah.
How to motivate guys, how to get the best out of them, how to, all of these things. I'm telling you this like you don't know. I'm repeating what you've told me over the years, what Hester's told me.
They beat the softness out of you. I mean, we called day one de-recruitment day. And it was where I don't give a damn if you're a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, you're going to earn it here. And you earn it, and you earn your respect when you get on campus by proving to Coach Moffitt that you were going to bust your ass and do everything possible to get there.
Well, now I got to go back on what I said a minute ago, because if that's the deal, this team is soft. So is that on the strength? Maybe I've talked myself out of this here.
See, I go Possibly, but for me, it's when I go back and watch the film, I'm gonna say, "Hey, look, this play could have been good, but he stepped here. This play could have been good, but he put his hat here."
Yeah.
And there's a lot of technique things that really irk me. And every time I watch the film, it's more technique problems than it is anything else.
And when you get to the 2-foot line, and you got to call timeout, and then you get in the shotgun, and then you get a penalty, that's soft.
Yeah.
499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. We'll take a break. Here at Rouse's, Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Eagle 98.1.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues from Rouse's. Vanderbilt wins it by a score of 31-24. 499-9898 is the number to call. And we go to Jimmy on the west side on the Hooters hotline. Jimmy, welcome into the show.
Hey, thank you. I'm going to be quick. First to the point, what y'all said before y'all started taking calls, I agree with pretty much everything except one thing, Jimmy. You said that, the O-line play was bad. It was. You said that was on the head coach. That's his guy. Absolutely right. And then you said, he asked for money, asked for this. That's not on the AD. It's not. This is on the AD as well. This is his guy, the head coach. And if he gets let go this year or next year, I didn't do the math, maybe the year after, he will own the top 2 buyouts in college football history. Second off, it's a question I'm going to hang up after this to listen. I never understood this, and maybe y'all can enlighten me. I'm the AD at LSU. I just let Ed Ogeron go. I have to hire an AD. Tell me on what Brian Kelly ever did to deserve 10 years, $100 million to come to LSU, because that 10 years truly handcuffs us on if he produces or not. If he doesn't produce, we're handcuffed for a while. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you very much for the call. And it's good questions.
Great point.
Let me say this about Scott Woodward. Yeah, he would, if they did have to buy him out, that's 2 big bites. He gave Scott Jimbo Fisher the big contract. It wasn't the initial one. The first one I understood. Okay, they had to get him out of Florida State, and he had won a national championship there, and he was in pretty good shape. Winston was leaving, but to get him out of there, you had to offer him more. Okay, I would have balked at the extension. And the extension was put together largely because they were worried that LSU was going to come get him. And so they gave him the extension. The extensions are the ones that I think are just as damaging, if not more. I didn't understand why Oklahoma gave Brent Venables an extension last year after 2 wildly mediocre seasons. So the initial contract was hefty. But to get him out of Notre Dame, you were going to have to do that. I would have rather given him more money for less years to keep you. But the other coach that they wanted was Lincoln Riley, regardless of what they say, and he's making $11 million a year if you believe it's a private school, so everything's not public record. But the word is that he's got about $11 million at SC. Well, that was the next guy. Well, you want to go further down the line. This is what it costs to get somebody out of a school like Notre Dame. He was the winningest coach in the history. He'd won more games than anybody at Notre Dame, but he hadn't won the big one.
No.
Okay, so should they have done it? It's like anything else. If he wins a championship, it's worth it, and if he doesn't, it's not. But if you wanted to get a coach like Brian Kelly, that's probably you were going to have to pay him in the $10 million a year range. By the way, his average salary keeps falling down the list. Signetti went, I think, just ahead of him this week. I think he's down now right at the back end of the top 10. Lane Kiffin's name gets brought up all the time. Lane Kiffin's making $9. So that's what it costs per year. But, yeah, the amount that it costs you on the back end if you fire the guy, and it's all one-sided, has always driven me crazy.
We just got done talking about this. I mean, this is, to me, the biggest problem with college football is that the agents own these universities.
Yeah.
They're going to get whatever they want. They're going to get paid. They're getting 3% off of it at minimum. At some point, somebody's got to stick up. Like what you said, you have to pay somebody something ridiculous to get them to leave, and then they're going to want that buyout. And the buyout, to me, is what kills everybody. And I don't know. Everybody can sit here and say it's ego-driven, blah, blah, blah. There's not very many Nick Sabans out there. There's not very many of those top elite guys that are going to wake up every day with the same motivation, the same drive. I think at some point when these guys are saying worst case scenario, these guys got to pay me $50-60 million, it gets tough.
You don't have to do it that way. I've been a part of half a dozen coaching searches here, okay? Every time it comes up, you got to have the guy with the perfect resume. You want to go cheaper than this, you can go cheaper than this, but you're taking a chance. You got to trust that the guy that's making the evaluation, and it's not that big programs don't take chances on guys that they don't have to pay a whole bunch of money. For instance, Ohio State, gold standard, right? Okay, at least out of the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who's the last 3 guys that they've hired? Okay, Ryan Day was an assistant. Urban Meyer, they made the big splash hire. And before that, it was Jim Tressel. Jim Tressel was at Youngstown State, which is a 1AA power at the time. This is akin to if LSU would go and hire a 2-time national championship coach from McNeese State.
Yeah.
Okay? You can do that. It might work. It worked for Ohio State. Georgia, who's the last 3 guys that they hired? Well, they hired Kirby Smart. He was an assistant. They hired Mark Richt. He was an assistant. And they won, Kirby's won 2 national championships. You can do it that Oklahoma, okay? Lincoln Riley was an assistant. Bob Stoops was an assistant. Brent Venables was an assistant. We're not talking about small programs here. We're talking about Ohio State, Georgia, Oklahoma. But because in 1986, LSU hired Mike Archer, who was an assistant coach on staff at the time, and that didn't work out, every time we have a coaching search around here, Archer's name gets brought up and says, you can't hire an assistant, which is short-sighted.
Yeah.
You can look. But if you hire the guy, then he better work out. Anybody better work out. You hire the guy, you're going to get some pushback. Well, you should go out. You should do like the big programs. All the big programs don't do that.
No, and look, let's talk about, I'm not saying that it worked out for Florida, but what did we had it down to? It was Billy Napier and Brian Kelly. That was the last 2 people we're talking about.
Well, I think Lincoln Riley was in the discussion, but he wanted to go he wanted to go somewhere else. Yeah.
After he was gone, it was down to those 2. Okay, so it hasn't really worked out at Florida the way, but guess what? They got a $20 million buyout situation. We're in a $50 million buyout situation.
Yeah, and Brian Kelly had, at the time, the best resume of any coach that had ever come to work here, okay? I mean, his resume was superior to Nick Saban's when Saban took the job here. I know how it turned out after that, but going in, Kelly's resume was superior to him. It was superior to Arnsparger's. And Arnsparger was a genius, okay? But he hadn't been a head coach for very long. He'd done a short stint in the NFL with the Giants, but he had not been a college head coach. Kelly's resume was as good as it got for what you could hire, okay? And right now, you know, it's not working out the way that they thought it would, because they brought him in. They didn't bring him in here to win 9 or 10 games a year. They brought him in here to make the playoffs and run the championships, and that hasn't happened outside of the first year.
That's it. I mean, he was brought here to do one thing, and, you know, we're in year 4, and we're still making excuses.
499-9898 is the number on the Hooters hotline. Ron is in New Iberia. Ron, welcome in the show.
Thanks for taking the call, guys. I have more of a comment to go back what you guys were saying a little bit earlier. I remember 2010 we went up to Auburn, got beat pretty good with a good Cam Newton, and came back a week after where we had a bye week and beat Alabama in Baton Rouge. And my comment goes to that was a certain toughness that team had, because I think we had a tough coach with Les Miles. And I got to agree with you guys. I think we missed a certain amount of toughness. Not basically physically tough, just a toughness about us. And I listened to you guys earlier, and I could agree with that.
Bashing on Les Miles from everybody in Baton Rouge, but there was something he demanded from you at practice. You know, the players complain how hard we practice, how long we practice, the amount of walkthroughs we went through, but you know, it was beat into you that we were going to do, you know, when it was 3rd and 1, short yardage, we didn't get out physicaled on a lot of things. You know, we might have got outsmarted on some things. He didn't adjust as the times grew with football, but the fundamentals of winning up front, we never lost that.
If this team, and nobody wants to hear this today, but if this team wants to respond, they've still got time. Now, my confidence is shot. I think yours is
it was shot last week for me.
Okay, and everybody that's listening to us right now cares enough that they're going to root for LSU no matter what, but their confidence is shaken right now. Or in some cases, Jimmy asked me on the show this week. He says, "What happens if hypothetically?" That's what we do in talk radio. Hypothetically, if Penn State offered Brian Kelly the job and he took it, what percentage of the fan base would be angry, and what percentage of the fan base would be happy or relieved? Okay, and I gave him a number on Monday or Tuesday
he
of
asked
this
me
week.
the same question Friday, so I want to hear what you say.
Well, what I said was that I thought if this was on Monday, I thought about 60% of the fan base would probably say, that's fine, go ahead. And the other 40 would be like, we lost our coach, okay? That number has changed drastically in the last 4 hours, okay? And I might have shot low.
Yeah.
And the people that are listening right now, 60%? Are you kidding? It's 160%. No, I really don't think that, because the people that, if you're a Brian Kelly supporter, it's awfully hard to speak up today.
Yeah.
Because this is a bad day. This is a bad time.
There's a lot of things that, majority of the fan base, I'd say 90% of the fan base watches what happens on Saturdays. They don't know about the other 300 people working for LSU football. Yeah. And I thought there's a lot of professional things Brian Kelly did. There was things that needed to be straightened up. I mean, that front office hadn't changed since Nick Saban. There was a lot of people that got really comfortable up there, a lot of people that were doing things that could have been a little bit more distracting. So when he first came in, he started making these shakeups. I was like, okay, we needed that. He's going to run this more professionally. So I thought the organization of getting people in place and getting rid of some of the distractions was a good thing. But, you got to win for everybody else to buy in.
499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. We'll take a break here at Rouse's Eagle 98.1 game.
Eagle 98.1.
Eagle 98.1 game day continues from Rouse's. Vanderbilt wins it by a score of 31-24. 499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. Jason is in Baton Rouge. Jason, welcome into the show.
Yeah, man. I never did like none of the Kelly coaches at all, but it's kind of a bias. But I'm gonna keep it short and quick. It looks like on the sideline, even with the Ole Miss game towards the end, him and Nussmeier getting into it, him arguing with the kicker, like, you don't have the Nick Saban respect yet to handle your guys like that. You should be supporting them and lifting up instead of making these little smart smirks and whatever. But I'd rather Coach O come back, man. This guy got to go. If we lose to Texas A&M, it's over. It's over.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but I don't have a problem with him coaching kids hard. I'm okay with that. Yeah, but it is worth mentioning. I think he brings up a point with Kelly and Nussmeier, who over the past several games do appear to have had a few words back and forth here and there. I don't know what they're saying. I'm not reading lips or whatever. I'm looking at body language. I'm looking at game situations, and it does look like they are having some, spirited discussions.
Yeah, I mean, look, Nussmeier's not playing good. Nussmeier is not a elite quarterback right now. And I can see Brian Kelly's frustration because he's a guy that he went all in on. Look, he had his issues last year. Everybody gets enamored by the big plays and the game-saving plays. But to this point, I feel like as many games as he's won you, he could have lost you. Look, I'm not trying to bash on him. I think he's an average quarterback. I don't think he's as elite as it was made out to be in the offseason. Now, he has elite talent, and he can do elite things. But from snap one to the finish of the game, there's mistakes made in and time out, and he doesn't always put the team in the best situation. There's times where I get very frustrated with him calling timeouts. I'm used to you get a signal to call a timeout, but there's times where Nussmeier's trying to do something and he burns timeouts that I think frustrates Brian Kelly because he doesn't think all of them need to be due. He said it earlier in the season, sometimes you just got to run the damn play. Don't call a timeout to get into another one. So, yeah, I see the frustration building, but look, it's a little bit on both of them. I think Nuss isn't playing as well. There's some things mentally that he's not doing right. And then, for me, it's just I don't care. You don't disrespect a coach. I mean, I don't care how mad I am.
And I don't think he is. I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that, but I've seen when Brian Kelly comes to the sideline to talk to him walk the other way or walk right past him. And that, to me, is something that they're obviously not getting on the same page.
Well, they're making this too hard. And by they, I mean the offensive game plan, the schematics, the check with me's, the automatic, whatever you want to call it. Are they making this too hard? And I'm going to go back to that doggone sequence on the goal line again. It's 2nd and goal from inside the 1. Do we really have to go wholesale substitutions here? Do we really have to go check with me? Or can you just line up and run the damn play for 2 feet?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think sometimes Nussmeier's not willing to run the play. I think he overthinks a lot of things to where he's trying to get into the perfect play instead of just running the play that was called. And then there's other times where I think, like they've given him too many options to where, he's trying to get in and out of it, and then they make a mistake and they got to burn a timeout. There's too many moving parts. I mean, sometimes what you just said, get up and run the damn ball.
You weren't on the T-Bob Tennessee team,
No.
right? You were going, but you were only a year out. Right?
Yeah, that was my.
They run the
year in
same
Detroit.
offense. They were running the whole deal.
Yeah.
You've seen that sequence how many times? Hundreds, probably. Okay. What did you think of that? Because that's the first thing I thought of when I saw them doing that inside the 1 yard. And the clock wasn't running out on them like it was against Tennessee. But the first thing I'm thinking is, man, really, you're doing all this and you're putting yourself in position in a shotgun to lose yardage. You're putting yourself in position with substitutions to get a penalty, and they did both.
Yeah. I go back to that game, and if I remember correctly, the difference is we didn't have a timeout at the end of the game.
No, and the clock was running.
And the clock is running. So I get making a substitution there. It's like, this is your one shot. I'm putting my best play. They ran giant power. I knew what they were going to run. Everybody knew what they were going to run. They're getting their big guys in there. And, like, that's your I'm putting all my chips on the table. I'm going to run that. So that one, it was a little bit messy. Now it's
you're
just
talking
like,
about the Tennessee game? Or
the Tennessee game is what you're going back to.
Okay.
Like I can justify a little bit of substitution there because there's no timeouts, end of the game. You got one shot at this. But in these times, I'm like, man, just run a play. I mean, but what it all stems from is nobody's confident in anything that's calling. I'm not confident when I get up there. I want to change and call a timeout. I'm not confident about the personnel that's in there. I want to move different personnel. There's a confidence issue.
I'd have felt better if they would have put the jumbo personnel in there and just run straight ahead. But no, they didn't do that. They put in I'm doing this without looking, but they were back in the gun. They direct snapped the ball to Juwan Johnson, who fumbled on the goal line last week, who fumbled on the goal line last week. And you're in the shotgun. You give yourself an opportunity to lose yards. You give yourself an opportunity with all these substitutions to get a penalty. You did both. If they would have brought jumbo package in there and just said, man, we coming at you and we're going to get 2 feet, I'd have felt better about it. I didn't feel good about this at all.
You know, they should have put the jumbo package in there and explode the star and put Trey Davis Green one-on-one again. I'd have been okay with that, too.
I'd have been okay with a quarterback sneak.
Yeah.
499-9898 is the number to call. Turner is in Baton Rouge on the Hooters hotline. Turner, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Long-time LSU fan. We have eight season tickets amongst our whole family. And one of my biggest problems is this is not entertaining with Brian Kelly. Les Miles it ran its course, but at least he was entertaining. And Brian Kelly is not a product you want to watch on the field.
Rich, This is an interesting question to me because I'm watching the game. This is my job, okay? And I'm frustrated. I'm like, this is not enjoyable to watch. It's not. It feels off. I can't put my exact finger on it. I mean, I can tell you some of the football things that are wrong. We've been doing that, since the beginning of the season. But no, this doesn't feel fun.
No.
This feels like work. I'm talking about for the players and for the fans. This feels like work. It feels like when you win, you're relieved that there's not a lot of joy, to use that word.
Yeah.
He's right. This is not entertaining. This is not fun. This is more, man, I hope they can just. Do you feel like that?
No, I feel like that 100%. I mean, half of the season so far, I've tried to develop the courage to text you that I'm throwing up and I can't make it. So when I watch these games,
don't you leave me.
I get so frustrated. But I agree with you. I mean, there's not like our relieving win was what, Southeastern? Okay, that's the only time you felt comfortable, and that's when I get frustrated at
Which
the little
doesn't even
things.
count,
Yeah, no, because I'm more mad at the little things in those games, watching them. We haven't scored more than 24 points in any other game outside of that. Winning these games is relieving, and I don't feel like anybody feels like they dominated, that they are the better team. I feel like they're relieved every time they win a game.
And there's some contradictory information here. I don't respond to texts during the game, but I get them. And a very, very good friend of mine. He doesn't ever text me during the games, okay? This guy knows football in and out, known him all my life. And he sent me a text in the third quarter. This is probably the only text he sent me in 3 years, okay, or more, watching football games. He said, I hate this team.
Yeah.
Okay? For this guy, you'd have to know him.
Yeah.
This is not – he said, I hate this team. And I'm like – I didn't respond to – I know what you mean. It's not that I hate this team, but this team should have been fun, man. This was supposed to be the fun team. This was supposed to be the team with the senior quarterback and the fast receivers and the number one back in the country. By the way, Harlan Berry ran the ball better today.
Yeah.
And this was the guy.
7 carries.
This was the year that Blake Baker was in his second year, so he had his system in, and they got him all of these dudes on defense, and they had games where there was going to be a lot on the line, a lot of those. This was supposed to be fun, and this has been like a trip to the dentist.
No, this is the biggest disappointment because, we've been waiting. And look, I thought last year everybody put, because Scott Woodward went and got, Kim Mulkey, national championship. You got Jay Johnson, national championship. And then they put Brian Kelly in the same situation. Well, it's different in football. You don't need to go get a few pitchers and a few hitters or a couple basketball players. You need to build a team. And I thought that this year when we did our breakdown in February and we're going down who they went and replaced, what guys they got in the transfer portal, which pieces did they fix, where they went and got these guys. I mean, we said I want to pull it back up in February that he's got all the pieces in place. There's no excuses anymore.
He did.
And we got the team that he needs. We got a team that can win, can compete, can beat anybody. This is on the coaches.
And how many of those guys in the transfer portal, did they get that you're like, where is it?
Yeah.
Nick Anderson caught 10 touchdown passes for Oklahoma. Where is he? Jakeem Jackson, they swore was going to be a starting corner. Well, okay, where is it? I don't, and I'm not trying to single out those two kids. I hate doing that stuff.
No, I'll go back on that because, P.J. Woodland is good. We brought in him because we needed corners because we had Ashton Stamps.
But no, he was a recruit. You
what I'm saying about Jackson is you went and got him because we were bad at corner. P.J. Woodland emerged. You went and got Monster Delane, who's great.
Been fantastic. Halsey's been great.
It's been hard to replace those guys, so I'm not bashing on that guy but you go get the ones I'm talking about. Nick Anderson hasn't done anything. Barry and Brown, we've had some good moments, but not the game changer. The defensive places, guys got beat out. I give it that. And I thought that there was pieces. I've been talking about P.J. Woodland for last year. I thought he was the best corner. I thought he was better than Stamps. But those are the ones that frustrate me. You went and brought in these pieces.
And the defensive linemen have been good.
Yeah, Goodwin's been amazing. Missing him today hurt. I thought Goodwin's been our best player. I think McKinley played well today. Bro played well. But where I think you missed is you went all in on Adams. Look, you went and got a center and 2 guards. You went and got guys to play those in the portal.
You got 1 guard.
We got 3 offensive. Was it 3 offensive line or 2?
No, just 2.
Okay, well, even with that, you thought that's all you needed. Weston Davis, look, can he be good? I think he can be coached to be great. He's got all the tools. He's not there. Tyree Adams, look, I don't think we missed much when he got hurt because he's been a boogaboo the whole time. Like, I've watched a lot of film on him where he's messing up. I mean, those are crucial positions when you're bringing Garrett Nussmeier back, the guy that you think is going to change everything, and then we get bad line play.
A lot of bad line play. 499-9898 is the number to call. We'll take a break on the Hooters hotline. Give us a call. Vandy wins at 31-24. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Eagle 98.1.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day continues from Rouse's on Burbank. Hooters hotline open. 499-9898 is the number to call. Fantastic football game going on in Athens, Georgia right now. Ole Miss leads 35-33. This is about 2.5 minutes into the fourth quarter, and this one's been back and forth all day. We'll keep you updated on that. Let's go back to the phone lines now. Glenn is in Baton Rouge. Glenn, welcome into the show.
Been watching LSU football since the Billy Cannon days when I was young, and as a student at LSU, I think people today got to witness what those when I was a student at LSU, and we got to witness Archie Manning do to LSU. It was very similar to, LSU was probably a more talented team back then, but Archie, shifted the balance, as did Pavia today. But what I wanted to comment about is I don't understand. I'm not one that always, questions the play calling and all of that stuff. Everybody seems to be an expert on that. But I have to question, when an offense is starting to click and you have some momentum going, is why go to these gimmick plays like they did when they lined up the three receivers and I think somebody was lined up behind them or something, and then that play on the last drive when they threw the screen pass to Juwan Johnson with the two tight ends. Even if it had been successful, the chances are, one of the tight ends would have been called for holding, and it brought the play. You've got all of the skill people that you could possibly use, and why not use them?
Okay, we got. I think we lost you there, but we got what we needed. I'm going to go to a word you've used from the very beginning of the season, which is rhythm. They don't, momentum, they don't ever get into a rhythm on offense. It was like you said, they can never get hot.
Yeah,
and explain what you mean by that.
Usually, I always talk about like a three-point shooter, a big shooter in a basketball game. Sometimes when shots start falling, you're just hot. You feel good. You feel like everything you're going to throw out there is going in the bucket. I feel like Joe Sloan never gets hot. There's never where he gets in there and he's like, play after play after play, like I'm just in a rhythm, I'm rolling, great situation, feeling good, and we're moving down the field. I just feel like we always stutter. And to his point about the gimmick plays where you're doing that, to me, that's the first sign of my bread and butter ain't good enough. I got to do something different. I got to pull something out and trick somebody because we can't win with what I want to do on 1st and 10.
I agree with everything you just said. Now let me ask a question. I thought that we're going to have to go back and look at it on film, but I thought that they rushed that play.
They did.
I thought if Nussmeier had held the ball another half a beat, that if Thomas would have cleared the center, he would have been open, and that play would have worked. I'm not saying, that's the thing to run, and I agree with everything. But am I wrong? If they don't rush that might have – I think that was there.
If he lets him clear the D end or D tackle, whoever it was is on that point, I mean, that's a big play. But getting to a situation where you're calling that in that situation of the game is because you don't feel good about what you do on a day in and day out basis.
Yeah, we're in agreement there. Craig is in New Iberia. Excuse me, Craig in New Iberia on the Hooters hotline. Craig, welcome into the show.
This is like BK's 4th year, right? So, I'm trying to think of the game that can go back in 4 years that we played a team that was very good and BK out-coached them or just coached with them and just got lucky or had better talent with won the game. And those games are, say, Alabama 2022, Ole Miss of last year, and Oklahoma. That's the only 3 games that we matched up with a team that was as good as us or better. And Brian Kelly actually coached a complete game and did a good job. Outside of that, I just don't remember it. And his teams, for some reason, don't seem to have that toughness like Ron alluded to earlier, that mental and physical toughness that we used to have with the Les Miles team. His whole offensive line from last year got drafted into the NFL, okay? and they couldn't run the ball either at LSU. So I don't know what it is. I'm just thinking that, I'm afraid that we made a bad choice in Brian Kelly as a coach. I don't see us winning a national championship with Brian Kelly. I hate to say that because I'm a season ticket holder for 25 years, and we're at every home game. We do the tailgating and all this, and pretty soon people are gonna get tired of 7 and 5 and 8 and 4s and 9 and 3s. When you're not paying for that. We have correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm understanding the payroll for the players is in $20 million, and you got the coach at $10 million. That's not $30 million worth of football we're seeing on the field. And it's not entertaining, like you guys said. It's not entertaining, okay? The first 7 years of Les Miles, that was entertaining football. Nick Saban, that was entertaining football. 2019, that was entertaining football. This is not entertaining football. This is frustrating and taking years off my life. I'm going to hang up and listen to you.
Thank you, Craig, for the call. I'm going to agree with him and disagree with him at the same time. I'm going to point to several games that have been kind of what that LSU has come out on top of. They played an Arkansas team that they beat 34-31. They played a Missouri team on the road. They beat 49-39. They played a Florida team that was decent, that they beat 52-35, and they played a Texas A&M team they beat 42-30. All those games were in 2023. Those were all what games. LSU won them all. But they won them because Jaden Daniels was fun to watch, man. And Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Jaden Daniels was magnificent, man. I mean, I remember doing the postgame after that Florida game. It's like, man, look, the defense can't stop a nosebleed, and LSU might have been a little bit fortunate to win that, but son of a gun, man.
You felt confident.
5 is phenomenal, right? And so those games, that season they finished 10-3. They weren't in contention for the conference title deep into November. But Jaden Daniels was fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean,
this hasn't been fun to watch.
Look, Jaden Daniels skews a lot of everything when you talk about stats in the Brian Kelly era.
He does.
But he was spectacular. He's a guy that, look, he's doing it at the NFL. Brian Thomas is doing it at the NFL. Malik Neighbors was doing it. He hadn't been able to stay healthy. But you had spectacular play from guys that, just about anybody could coach. And I go back to go against that. Ed Orgeron is a great motivator. Look, I was recruited by Ed Orgeron. I've known Ed Orgeron since I was 15 years old. But he didn't, after the national championship, he didn't coach very well. He didn't run the program very well. But what he did in 2019, he put great players together. He had Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. I'm not even mentioning the defensive players. But there was NFL talent all over that field, and that was fun to watch. We expected that from Brian Kelly. I expect Brian Kelly to develop these guys into elite superstars.
I thought this was going to be a fun team. I really did. How many times did we say it in August? They make us do so many shows in August where we're just talking about practice. I said, man, look, you put Berrien Brown on one side and Chris Hilton on the other side. These 2 4-3 guys who are both about the same size and can run like nobody's business, and a senior quarterback there with an elite arm, okay? This is August now.
Yeah.
All right. Who in the world is going to try to play one high against him? Who is not going to play double high, and that's going to open everything up? And none of that have we seen.
We hadn't seen it, and we've seen – well, I say we hadn't seen it. Ole Miss ran too high, ran shell, backed off, and then beat us with 3. So, I mean, that's another issue.
Because – and Nussmeier couldn't throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we saw it.
But you couldn't win with 3 defensive linemen blocking on 5. I mean, we went and watched that tape. The amount of times 3 beat 5 was unreal.
Yeah, and we're going to watch this tape too. Aren't you looking forward to that?
I'm not watching it tomorrow. I'll watch it Monday.
Yeah, take your time. Podcast until Tuesday. 499-9898 is the number. Jackie is in Zachary. Jackie, welcome into the show.
Hi, good evening, guys. I have a question for Mr. Richard in particular. You spoke earlier about your disappointment in our edge rushers and their misuse of their technique as far as rushing on one one part of the opposition's shoulder. I can't exactly remember what you said, but you have expertise in it. Could you get on staff? Who's going to tell them about that kind of?
Oh, you're looking for a job?
They make a lot more money than I'm getting paid right now. But no, I mean, come on, those things. Look, I was taught that in high school. Now, the biggest difference of being taught that in high school and developing that into athletic people. Like when I was in high school, I think I might have played against maybe 5 other guys that signed D1. I didn't play against elite talent. But it's frustrating to me because, look, I love what Perkins brings. But what we saw tonight was playing off pure athleticism and not using your technique and knowledge of the game. At some point, you got to understand that, I don't care if you're faster. Pavia out-athleticized him on a few plays because he took bad angles, bad technique. You got to understand that when you're playing guys who can move, and there's a reason why we put cones out on the field at practice and you rush to this angle. You take these angles. You don't ever go skinny on a guy because he rounds out and you lose contain. The little things are what we're going to hear about, and I'm sure Brian Kelly's going to talk about Monday morning. We didn't do the little things, but this is year 4, and we've been talking about not doing the little things a lot.
40-35, Georgia leads Ole Miss. 7.5 minutes to go in regulation, and Ole Miss just got the kickoff, so they're going to start from their own 25-yard line. This has been a terrific college football game today. Keep you up to date. 499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. Evan is in Hammond. Evan, welcome into the show.
Hey, man, look, there's 50 million reasons to not fire Brian Kelly. A lot of money, and Scott Woodward's pride is on the line. But Joe Sloan, why is he still a coach on this team? This is the most anemic, boring offense I've seen in years on LSU's field. And aside from Trey'Dez Green, there's not a whole lot of bright spots. So get him out of there is my opinion.
For Sloan earlier in the season, he was calling plays with a quarterback that could not throw the ball down the field, and he was calling plays with an offensive line that is poor. Which was negating the running game. Where I lost all sympathy for him was at Ole Miss, where I came into the postgame frustrated because we're watching it. It's like they have vacated the middle, and you just won't run the ball. And I believe that Brian Kelly probably took a little – when Kelly came out that Monday and said, I didn't like our plan, well, that drove me crazy. You're the boss. Yeah. This is your plan.
You sign off on it.
Yes. We just talk all the time. There's Les call the plays. Les may not call every play on the sidelines, but Les signs off on the game plan on Thursday or Friday, and that's what they got in there. So if you didn't like the plan, don't blame Joe Sloan, blame Brian Kelly. But I understand what he's saying. Now, this is a little bit different because Nussmeier can throw the ball down the field now. And the offense, and they did keep after the run a little bit more in the last 2 games. But it's stale, man. It's stale.
I go back to what I've been saying, the sequencing. Like, he just doesn't get in a rhythm. He never feels comfortable. It's almost like he's, I'm not saying gambling, but like he never knows if he feels good about it. Like, it just goes, he doesn't get in a rhythm, get hot to where like I see what's coming. You know, when good offensive coordinators, they watch the game, they're sitting up there, they see the defense, they know what they're doing, they know what they're going to try to do, they know how they're going to combat them, and they start playing chess and moving guys in different directions. And I feel like, you know, we're just running a play and hoping it works.
If you had a 4th and 3 from midfield late in the 4th quarter of a game and you had to go for it, what would you run?
In my day or now?
No, today.
Today, I would probably spread everything out and get Trey'Dez one-on-one and try to high point a ball.
Yeah, which is as good a play as I could think to call. What I was going to say is I don't really know what their absolute – they can do this no matter what you're running, no matter who it is. This is bread and butter. This is what you hang your hat on. What is that one thing for LSU's offense? And I don't know what it is. You came up with as good a play as I could come up with, which is get 14 in a one-on-one situation and let him go make a play. But there's nothing that that they do that you're like, that'll work.
No.
I am confident that will work. We can run. It comes out in the script, and they're better. They were better in the script today than they have been. They have been absolutely terrible. When I say the script, first 15 plays of the game to open the game. They've been anemic. They've been one of the worst 10 teams in the country on first drives this year. Well, today they actually got down and got a field goal. I thought it was an 11-play drive. I thought that was
First
better.
play of the game was a negative run, I believe.
It was, but then after that, they picked up a couple of first downs. They got into Vanderbilt territory. I'm watching Arkansas right here. Got into Vanderbilt territory. Eventually got a field goal out of it. Okay, well, that was better. Not great, but better. What do you do well? Okay, what are we going to put in here? What do we got on the spaceship that's good? That's one of my favorite ones. You know, what do we have that we know works?
There's
and
nothing.
it's in short supply.
Because there's nothing in a 3rd and 3 situation that we feel like we can run this play and run the ball and get it. You get into the passing situation, we're not confident we can protect to where he can get time to get rid of the ball. We're not always confident that he's going to make the right decision and throw to the right person. There's just so many ifs right now.
499-9898 is the number on the Hooters hotline. Cajun Curveball is in Hammond. Cajun Curveball, welcome into the show.
How you doing, guys? Look, I'm gonna be brutal. I'm gonna be cordial about it. I wanna hear what y'all got to say. But I got to go on a little mini Henny rant right here. All right. We look soft today. If it was up to me, Brian Kelly, Sloan, Brad Davis would be left in Nashville to take a Spirit Airlines flight home. All right? It's just ridiculous. The play calling, awful. Everything to the outside. I mean, you paid this guy $100 million. $100 million for this. And if it wasn't for Jaden Daniels, I don't know what the other seasons would look like. It would look way worse than this. I mean, it's unbelievable. And at first, I was mad at Nuss, but I'm actually going to pull that back and give him some grace today because this O-line is horrific. I'm 150 pounds soaking wet, maybe, and I swear I could block better than some of those guys. I'm sick and tired of seeing the back of people's jerseys.
They got run over a few times today.
No, I agree with them. I mean, Jaden Daniels has saved Brian Kelly's tenure at LSU.
He brought Jaden Daniels in, and he brought an offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock, that got the best out of Jaden Daniels. I can't just say he fell backwards into Jaden Daniels. He went out and got that kid. That was not somebody that was on anybody's radar. Okay, when they signed Jaden Daniels, I was like, wait a minute, that's the Arizona State kid. Yeah. I didn't hear about him coming here. So that came from out of left field. He went out, he scouted that guy, he found him, he brought him in here, he put him in a situation where he could develop his talents. So he gets credit for Jaden Daniels.
But I would love to do a deep dive because Jaden Daniels is excellent, and I'll give you all the credit for it. You went out and got him. You brought him here. You put him in the situation. But when I always go back to when people talk about the rushing stats and what they've done over the last 4 years. And, well, they were 8th in the league his first year, and 2nd in the league, and
in 23. That's the outlier. The rest
of it's bad. Yeah. And then I'd like to go back and be like, okay, let's look at design runs versus Jaden Daniels being Jaden Daniels. I mean, Jaden Daniels, I remember talking to people about this offensive line back then and how everybody's like, oh, no sacks. They haven't given him any sacks. And then I go back and watch the game and I'm like, that's because Jaden Daniels is really good at escaping. Like, he scrambles and he moves and he takes off. And he takes at 3rd and 11 with no protection, nobody open, and he goes 70 yards for a touchdown. I mean, the amount of plays that he made that I think eased this transition, and now you got a Nussmeier who is not athletic at all. And when he struggles, you see the deficits, and you're starting to wonder, okay, what about play calling? Well, you know, when you don't have a guy that can improvise and go make a play on his own, all of it comes to light.
I've got a lot of confidence that if this season finishes the way that it looks like it's going to finish, and by that I mean out of the playoffs, that there would be significant changes on the staff. Probably not Kelly, but on the staff. But they've done that before. Here's the difference. I think people are going to view it with a lot more skepticism than they did the last time. They're going to say, our friend Scott Rabelais wrote a column. He says it's like the whack-a-mole. Every time you find, the first year it was Polian in the special team. So whack, the arcade game. You whack the mole and the mole goes down, but another mole pops up. Well, and it was House. Okay, well, whack. Okay, got to get rid of him. Okay, now it's Sloan. All right, whack. We're gonna get rid of that guy if they do, and then it's going to be, well, then what else is going to pop up, Brian? What else is it that you need to win here? Because they have tried very hard, it would seem to me, to give you everything that you need, and you are still not winning the games that you are supposed to win.
That's the biggest knock on Brian Kelly to me. I mean, like I said, there's things he's done that I agree with, and I think he did well. Placing a staff together has not been it. He is always a piece away. We're always talking about everything's good except, next year everything was good except, this year everything's good except. We always have a reason why, and we always have this optimism. We're going to go hire some great offensive coordinator next year. What's the next whack-a-mole to your story?
Yeah. I give Rabelais credit for that. Yeah. It was very. I like the analogy. All right, give you two scores, and then we'll go back to the phone lines after the break. 40-35, Georgia leads it. Bulldogs got the ball back. They are driving with 2:16 to go, and Ole Miss is starting to take their timeouts. Rebels have got one shot here to make a stop for a field goal to keep them within 8 to give them a chance in this ball game. The other score we'll give you is after a 2-hour delay because of the weather. Texas A&M leads Arkansas 21-6, about 3.5 minutes to go to the break in Fayetteville. From Rouse's, this is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Eagle 98.1.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day. All right, Georgia gets the field goal, so they're up 8, 43-35. They are either at the 2-minute warning or one play away. I missed it here real quick. So Ole Miss is going to have one drive to go the length of the field, score, go for 2, and make it to extend this game. 499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. Tom is in Prairieville. Tom, welcome into the show.
Now change from what went wrong today to it's time to get rid of BK and the staff. My question is, why is it that college football seems to be the only entity that gives 10, 12, whatever year contracts that bankrupt the boosters and the schools? You look at the NFL or the Major League Baseball, the NBA, they don't have any problem firing coaches every year, and they're not doling out 50, 60, 70, 80 million dollars to fire a coach. Sean Payton is a good example. He went over to Denver. They didn't give him a 10-year no-cut guaranteed contract. He's there. He got a contract for 5 years. Why is it that college football is killing itself with these contracts that are just totally unreasonable? I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Tom, I wish I had a good answer for you.
The only thing I could think of is in the NFL, on an average year, how many jobs would you say are open?
In a given year? 5 to 8, yeah. I would say, 25% of the league every year.
There's 32 teams. Mm-hmm. Okay, so college football, you got 80 teams that'll make a splash, 70 teams maybe. There's a lot more competition, and it goes back to your point earlier is, athletic directors' jobs are based on pretty much football. Like, how does the football team do? So when they go out there and they go secure the money, they're going out there to try to, which doesn't necessarily always work, but a no miss. We got to go out there and we got to pay this guy. We got to do whatever we can to get him. But I completely agree with you. Like, I hate it. Like, I hate these $60, $70 million buyouts. It's stupid. To me, it gives you no motivation. But until you get your top 40 teams and your ADs all get together, hey, we're not doing this crap anymore. Someone's always going to be, I can't say a nice word there. Someone's always going to go out there and dangle that out there to get whoever they want.
Yeah. So I'll give you a couple of reasons. What was Dennis Allen's buyout when the Saints fired him last year?
I don't know.
What was Brian Callahan's buyout when the Titans fired him last week?
It's not published. It's not.
That's right.
Knowledge.
And because not only is it not published, but when it happens, the freight is picked up by the billionaire owner, who nobody cares
how much money
they lost. Okay, I don't know how much money the Saints paid Dennis Allen or the Titans paid Callahan or whoever the next coach to get fired, McDaniel in Miami or whatever it is, because it doesn't matter to me. Okay, if Gail Benson's got to write a check for $20 million, I could care less.
Yeah.
But when the university has to do it,
or you got to go,
then it's public knowledge, and the money's got to come from somewhere. And
it's not coming from one person. It's coming from people you depend on.
Usually it's not, right. And it may end up being a deal where, well, now ticket prices have to go up or donations have to go up or any of these other things. So the first thing is it's not publicized in the NFL. But the other part of it, I've never been able to feel. Well, I know why, but I just don't agree with it, which is that these contracts are horrifically one-sided. And Nick Saban and Jimmy Sexton really did the first one. We watched that thing when he signed here, and it was $1.2 million. And I can't tell you the shockwaves that it sent through Baton Rouge when they found out that they were paying a football coach over $1 million. It was absolute blasphemy, okay? But when you dug into the contract and you saw just how one-sided it was, which was that the fear from the day he hit campus was that Saban was going to be in the NFL at any time, which eventually, of course, he was. But that if he left, he didn't owe LSU any money. But if LSU fired him, they owed him all the money. And it worked so well because LSU, which had been a sleeping giant for so long, won their first national championship in 45 years. And Jimmy Sexton caught fire, and he started getting all kind of clients, and he put this in every one. And now he dominates the industry. He's not the only one, but everybody else picked up on this stuff, okay? Do you know how many people do things now the way Nick Saban did them when he got to Baton Rouge? I'm talking about my assistant coaches don't talk to the media. That wasn't a thing until he got here.
Yeah.
Not very many places. There's some places, but not very many places. The contract that he got, that wasn't a thing very many places. And any of another, gosh, I can't tell you how many. We're closing practice. Practice was open. I went to every practice of Jerry DiNardo's tenure from start to finish until about the last 5 weeks when he finally got aggravated and closed it down. Saban closed everything. He changed the whole landscape. And because Sexton had orchestrated that whole thing and because it had worked, they used it as a blueprint. And now it's like that. And you can't, just like we gave the example earlier with Cignetti. Indiana's finally hired a coach that can win. And Clark Lee made himself some money today. Now, you may not find out about his because it's a private school, but they found out the pressure to win is so dramatic, and it's so damn one-sided. 499-9898 is the number to call on the Hooters hotline. Cookie is in Baton Rouge. Cookie, welcome into the show.
Charles, Rich. It is it's another day that we talk about football. And Rich can probably speak to this more than I can because he played for one of these coaches. But from what I'm seeing and what I'm watching in the last 20-plus years of football is you have three coaches at LSU. You have Les Miles, who had all the talent in the world, recruited great, not a great people person, but everybody kind of got along with him because he won. But his players absolutely ran through a wall for him. Whatever he told them to do, they did, and that would be what maybe Rich could speak to. You look at Coach O, ultimate motivator, great recruiter, all players ran through a wall for him. Coach, what I need to do to win the game, do this, ran through a wall, I will do it, Coach. In the last 3 to 4 years, you don't see players that just commit to the program. And I love Nuss. Nuss, great kid, committed to the program. I'm going to win. He's played through injury this year. He's done what he could to win, but just a totality of the players, you just don't see the commitment to run through a wall, the motivation tactic that a head coach has with the players he has. We've been the most talented program outside of Alabama maybe in the last 20 years. You just don't see in the last 3 to 4 years the commitment to run through a wall to win at all costs. And I think that is a top to bottom issue. And I don't see it with Brian Kelly. We've got the talent. We're going to win regardless of who the coach is. And you saw it with prior head coaches. Hey, Nick won, Coach O won, Les won. It don't matter who the coach is, but at the end of the day, you still have to play for the guy that's in charge of the program. I just don't buy it. I'll hang up and listen. Maybe I'm different. Rich can give his take on playing for one of those guys, but I mean, today was one of those.
Thank you. The question is actually legitimate, although he asked it 7 times. I'll ask it to you this way because we were talking during the break. If the current transfer rules were in place when you were here, how many players would have quit on less every year?
A lot.
Okay. Or the Tommy Moffitt thing where you talked about him breaking them down.
Yeah.
How many players would have quit?
A lot. I mean, this is a different age. Like when I'm talking about what he's saying, yeah, there's great coaches and there's guys that can do it. But, I mean, Nick Saban quit for a reason too. I mean, we didn't have a lot of other options. Like, you had to go out there and win respect, earn playing time, bust your ass, do everything right, and you could get kicked in the nuts, for lack of better, and you had nothing you could do about it. If you wanted to leave, you're sitting on the bench for a year.
That was a serious deterrent.
Yeah, I wanted to leave my freshman year. Like it was different for me. I'm a coast kid. Louisiana was different for me. I had 6 catches my freshman year. I wasn't necessarily happy, but I wasn't going to sit out a year anywhere. So you know what? You made up the mindset to fix it and do whatever you had to do. And so the coaches could be a lot harder on you. You were coached harder. You were demanded more. I just feel like that we didn't have any other options other than to fix the problems we had. And I don't know how they do that in today's day and age.
When people ask me about the NIL, and NIL, it's here to stay. I mean, it's the law of the land now. I think the transfer portal is such a bigger problem for coaches than the NIL is. If you knew that you brought a kid in and you paid him and you got him to contract, although that's
what it is.
Yeah, you had him, okay? You are committed to me for 3 years. I'll pay you this amount of money for 3 years, but you're going to stay for 3 years. And if you leave, you owe me this, no future earnings, and you got to sit out a year. I think you'd see a way different landscape.
Yeah.
But we're watching the game Friday night, and there were 4 or 5 kids, and every time they brought one of them up, and it's this way everywhere. Well, he started at this school, and then he went to this school. It's not one transfer because a coach got fired or because you were behind a guy that was better than you. Like Jalen Hurts was behind Tua, but everybody knew Jalen Hurts could play, so he went somewhere else. No, this is just, I had 6 catches my freshman year, and I don't like it here. I'm leaving.
Yeah. And what I was telling you off the air is, there used to be a thing in college football when you were a freshman called de-recruitment. Because recruiting is all about, and there's a long joke that I was told one time about heaven and hell and recruiting. And, when you're recruited, you're brought to heaven about everything's great, everything's beautiful, everything's perfect. The women are amazing. You want to drink, it shows up. And then when you get to campus, you see nothing but flames and fire and the devil and everything's miserable. You're just told how terrible of a person you are. And it's something that you had to earn respect. You had to go out there and bust your butt, beat everybody up, do the right things, and get to that level to where the coaches respected you. And now I feel like coaches walk on tiptoes around a lot of people, and the staff walks around tiptoes like, hey, this is a 5-star freshman. We don't want to offend him. We don't want to make him mad.
What was the punchline?
I would have told it if I could remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
499-9898 is the number to call in the Hooters hotline. It's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Eagle 98.1.
All right, a couple of score updates. We'll go back to the phone lines. 499-9898 is the number on the Hooters hotline. Georgia hangs on 43-35 in a very entertaining game in Athens today. First loss of the season for Ole Miss. And A&M had jumped out to a 21-6 lead, but Arkansas with a pair of touchdowns here in the latter stages of the second quarter, including a touchdown with 2 seconds to go. Taylon Green, he was rolling around out there. The play started, I believe, with 11 seconds on the game clock, and he scrambled around to where it was like,
get rid of it.
I'm looking for Demetrius Byrd and Matt Flynn. It's like, how much time's left? How much time you got? And they scored with 2 seconds to go to make it 21-20 A&M at the half. 499-9898 is the number to call. Carla is next. Carla, welcome into the show.
Hey, guys. Two statements, then a question, and I'll hang up. Number one, Brian Kelly is only a coach of tight ends. That's all he knows how to coach. Second statement, I don't know X's and O's like y'all guys. I don't. I'm learning. But if Caden or Harlem is lined up next to Garrett, guess what's fixing to happen? If I know that, the other team knows that. Am I smarter than Brian Kelly? Really? Please, help me understand. Help me understand.
Predictability on play calling, Rich.
I mean, to me, it is pretty predictable. We get in the same formations. We don't run a lot of multiplicity in our run game. It's a lot of zone. I think the guys who did it best were Hester and Flynn a week or two ago, breaking down that we had run 0 power plays, I think 7 counter. We don't put our guys in a power position. You know, we try to run with a lot of zone techniques, outside, win with speed, and it's just not very successful at this point, especially when everybody knows what you're doing. It's frustrating to me because, you know, football to me is a meathead sport. You know, the guys who were doing finesse stuff back in the day were different. It was Mike Leach. It was guys on the West Coast that were doing things that they couldn't win with bigger, more physical guys. And then later in the age of the game, people start doing it in the SEC, and you see it win with speed, but they still have a power element to it, and we just don't have any power element.
Okay. You brought this up, gosh, we may be going back a few film studies now, but that they were running opposite of where the back was every time in the thing. Are they still doing that?
We mixed it up a couple of weeks ago. We did some same-side runs, same-side counters, but we're not doing it enough. I think we rushed the ball 21 times today, and that's not enough in a game to where, like, this game's different because Vanderbilt controlled the clock, had the ball. I think we had 3 possessions in the first half. But I still feel like we kind of give up on it. I mean, it's not something that, you know, we're going to hang our hat on. And I've always felt that the best teams in college football, the best teams in the NFL, they're going to continue to run the football.
21 rushes tonight and 28 passes for LSU. 499-9898 is the number. Brian is in New York. By the way, the tight ends?
The tight ends, yeah. Look, Trey Dez is a freak. I love him. Give him the ball. But I've seen Bauer Sharp ain't blocking any better. Trey Dez has issues running certain routes, so I wouldn't say that he's only coaching those. If he is only coaching those guys, it's not a good look either.
All right, Brian's in New York. Brian, welcome to the show.
How's it going, guys? It's just it's unfortunate. You said the last caller said that you had all these coaches, Les Miles, Ned Orgeron, that they would run through a wall for. I'm a Notre Dame fan, and I've watched the guy how Brian Kelly is. He thinks he's better, and his recruiting is below him. And that guy should want to play for him and not be going out and getting these guys. And you can see the difference that when Marcus Freeman came through, that they wanted to run through a wall for him. And now, unfortunately, I'm seeing at LSU that they don't want to run through that wall for him, and that's why you guys have these losses. It's the culture that he brings in and the arrogance that the players don't respond to it. It's a shame. It really is a shame.
Brian, let me ask you a question. How long have you been a Notre Dame fan?
About 4 or 5 years old.
Okay. When they went to the championship game, and I'm not trying to be a smart ass here. When he first got there and they got to the national championship game and they went undefeated, did it feel different then than it did at to the middle or the end of his tenure there?
Absolutely, and it's the same way. I think we can both agree that Notre Dame had no business beating Georgia last year. If you look on paper, on talent, what Georgia had and what Notre Dame had, and that's what I'm alluding to is that they have now that run through your wall mentality that Brian Kelly does not bring, and you can see it with the game today with Vanderbilt.
Okay. How engaged is he, Rich? I mean, do you feel like we're having this conversation about Kelly, and I'm not even saying the guy's wrong. He may be 100% right, but what if this game had turned around and instead of a couple of plays at Ole Miss, a couple of plays here. I mean, they lost both of these games by one score.
Yeah.
If they turn around, is the attitude different? He's not the only one that feels that way about Kelly. Kelly is he's kind of corporate, okay? He's been very cordial with the media and the fans and everything here, but warm and fuzzy he ain't.
I don't feel like, I remember the grind of coaches, and this goes back to when coaches, like you said, were making less than $2 million a year. I remember guys going out to get a beer on a Wednesday night, and we might have stayed out later than we should, and then I had to drive past the LSU football ops on the way home to get to my house, and you saw Les Miles' car in the parking lot at 11 o'clock at night. You saw the entire coaching staff there at 11 o'clock at night. You always respected that they were grinding and they were working. I remember getting there earlier in the mornings, and some coaches slept there. Guys weren't leaving the building. And, from what I hear now, it's more of delegating. It's more of, what you're talking about. I'm the CEO. I'm going to tell all y'all to do this, and then I'm going out for dinner. And I don't know all this stuff for a fact, but I don't feel the grind. And it goes back to what I said earlier, is like, how can you feel the grind when the worst case scenario is you get paid $60 million to go home?
Okay. And I don't necessarily think that you're wrong, but it most of the time this stuff is a product of the results. The strength coach is no good. Well, if they'd have won the day, then the strength coach would be just fine. This guy delegates too much. Well, if they had won, maybe or if they lost in a different way, maybe he doesn't delegate enough. This guy tries to, I've heard that one before too. He tries to do too much. He's got to, things are getting missed because he won't delegate to his assistants. So I wonder how much of this stuff is results oriented.
A lot of it. Everything's exploded and put underneath the microscope when you're not winning. But when you go back to just, for me, is I don't feel like, I don't know, this day and age in football is tough for me because, like we just said, with all the money involved, and like I don't know if a guy is getting paid a certain amount of money and then he wants to put that amount of work in anymore. To me, like, we weren't getting paid anything. You might get $500 from your dad or something or whatever, but the goal was to put something on tape that got you to the NFL. And I still know that's the goal for most everybody, and the elite guys are going to get that. But I don't know. There's a lot of things when I watch this. The biggest thing for me is the toughness, physicality, mentality of beating up on somebody.
I feel a little bit differently, and hear me out. Money comes up when guys lose. Nobody ever had a problem with how much Nick Saban was making. When Nick Saban got here and he was making $1.2 million, everybody went crazy. Yeah. And when he won the national championship, nobody cared what he was making. 3 weeks ago, nobody cared what James Franklin was making, and now they do. And the same thing is true. Maybe the $100 million, it's a nice round number, offended some people. And, yes, the coaches make more than teachers and policemen and firefighters and all of these, other professions that are, more necessary to the fabric than coaching a football team. But none of it's a problem if you're winning.
I'm not talking about the coach's money. What I was just talking about is when you get an 18-year-old that has nothing, hasn't done anything doesn't have – he walks on campus with a bank account with $80 in his pocket, and now you give that freshman that hasn't earned anything. He beat up on a lot of high school kids, and you gave him $500,000 to show up.
And that's offensive to a lot of people. But let me ask you, how many people are concerned about what Fernando Mendoza at Indiana is making right now?
Yeah.
But because they're winning, they're winning at a terrific pace. Julian Sayin, who is the quarterback at Ohio State, who was committed to Alabama when Nick Saban was the coach there, and when Saban retired, he switched over to Ohio State. I don't know what he's making, but I know it ain't small. And they're number one in the country, and he's coming along, and nobody cares what he's making. Okay.
Well, I think everybody's different. And that's the biggest disparity. We don't know these guys, the way they think, the way they train, the way they go home at night. Do they watch film or do they go to the bar? Are they breaking down stuff early in the morning? Or are they sleeping in? We don't. None of us know that. I don't hang out with any of these kids. But there's certain people. Like I'm not gonna say Julian Sayin, but there's certain people that are paid a lot. And they still have a different mindset, and that's different to everybody in every different place. But I don't think it makes it easy for the majority.
Somewhere in Nashville, our counterparts are doing the Vanderbilt postgame show. They're probably done by now because they're not as sick as we are.
Yeah.
But I promise you, not one time on their postgame today did it come up with Diego Pavia's making.
No. When you're winning, nobody cares.
When you're winning, nobody cares. 499-9898 is the number. Jules is in Abbeville. Jules, welcome into the show.
Where in the world is Pavia? San Diego. Y'all hit on everything. Kelly on down. What's going to happen when we lose the next two? Richard, this is a different time and place from where you were and from where I was. And the NFL used to pay rookies a lot of money, and then they finally decided that was stupid, and they put in this rookie pay grade. So maybe that's what they have to do with the NFL, with the college game.
Oh no, you know who decided that, right?
Who?
Who decided? Who decided that the veterans should make more than the rookies, and who had the power to get it done?
The players' union. The players' union.
The players' union. That's exactly right. Okay, ain't no players' union.
Well, that goes back to like all the guys when we were talking about getting paid. It was get paid for what you've done, not get paid to get here. I mean, that was the biggest conversation I had with all my buddies, everybody that played. We all wanted this. We all wanted these guys to get money. We all felt we would deserve some money. But you don't get the money until you prove you can do it.
There you have it. Richard Dixon just said no recruit has ever been paid to go to college football.
I didn't say that.
You didn't mean to say
Didn't mean to say that.
What else you got, Jules? I think we lost him. Okay. 499-9898 is the number to call. We're about to get into the 6:30 games. Good block of games tonight. Alabama and Tennessee going. Notre Dame and USC going. Auburn and Missouri going. Missouri's first road game of the season. We'll take a break here at Rouse's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Stat Check. Presented by Luba Workers Comp. Luba Workers Comp. Delivering genuine dependability.
Yardstick. Vanderbilt 20 first downs. LSU with 14. Total yards 399 for the Commodores. 325 for the Tigers. Passing yards 160 for Vanderbilt. Well, 225 for LSU. Rushing yards 239 for Vanderbilt. And that's probably the second most important stat. I'll get to the one I think is the most important. 100 yards rushing for LSU. Vandy averaged 5.3 yards a carry. LSU 4.8. The third down conversions. Vanderbilt came into the day leading the conference at 58%. They were 6 of 13 on third down, but they were 2 of 3 on fourth down. So essentially they converted about half the time in their to-go situations where they would have had to move the football. Just a little bit below their average, but still plenty good enough to win. LSU was 5 of 11 on third down, which is not terrible, but was far short of what Vanderbilt was able to do today. 4 penalties for 35 yards for the home team, 7 for 52 for the Tigers. Neither team turned the ball over today. Vanderbilt had the ball for 36-31, LSU for 23-29, and you definitely felt that one today, because it felt like Vanderbilt had the ball the entire afternoon. Nussmeier, 19 of 28, 225, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Diego Pavia, 14 of 22, a $160 and a touchdown. Rushing, Caden Durham, 7 carries for 59 yards, 8.4 carry, looks great, but 51 of the 59 were on the one run. I wonder if he's banged up a little bit more, because I did not expect him to get caught.
Yeah, he doesn't look
I think he got banged up in this game. He was banged up before, but I think he got banged up in this game, too.
I felt like he's been banged up a little bit this season. When you get those breakaway runs, I think back to last year where he was a track star. Nobody was catching him. And this year he just seems to be laboring.
Harlan Berry, 11 carries for 55 yards in his best game of the season so far. And Jawan Johnson, 1 carry for -1 yards. Again, I hated that play call at the goal line. Diego Pavia, 17 carries, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Michael Young, 5 for 82, 43 on that carry that basically put the ball game away late. Cedric Alexander, 14 carries, 45 yards. He had a touchdown before he left with an injury. Xavier Thomas led LSU in receiving with 75 yards and a touchdown. He had 4 catches, including that 62-yarder, which was an unbelievable individual play. Trey Green, 5 catches, 74 yards and a score. Barry and Brown, 5 catches for 40 yards. Cole Spence, 5 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown. Eli Stowers, 3 catches for 32 yards.
Are those both tight ends?
Yeah. I don't want to upset you. Junior Sherrill, 2 catches for 30 yards for Vandy. Defensively, A.J. Halsey led the Tigers with 13 tackles, 9 solos, and had a PBU. Devon Keys subbing in for Whit Weeks, 9 tackles today, 4 of them solos, and West Weeks had 6 tackles, including a sack, and 2 tackles for loss. Langston Patterson, 5 solo tackles for Vanderbilt, led the way. Joshua Singh, number 99, had a tackle and a half for a loss. Vanderbilt had 5 total tackles for loss. LSU had 4 today. Damian Ramos made 3 out of 4 field goals. Taylor made his only one for Vanderbilt. The punter for Vanderbilt, who took the first 3 quarters off, averaged 47.5 yards on his other 2 kicks. Chadwick, 46 yards on his other 2 kicks, and that is your stat check. They're up, started in the second half. A&M has opened with a touchdown, so it is now 27-20. The momentum that Arkansas took into the locker room seized back by the Aggies. Extra point to come that would put them up 8. We'll take a break, come back, get you up to date with everything that's going on in college football. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Eagle 98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. The Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln College Football Scoreboard. Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln on airline under the giant American flag.
We start in Gainesville, which may be the swan song for Billy Napier. Florida leads Mississippi State 23-14 with 2.5 minutes to go. Florida playing goal to go down at the, Mississippi State playing goal to go at the Florida 8-yard line. They would need a score here and then to get the ball back, and they're incomplete on third down. So I would think kick the field goal here and then the onside kick, or I'm not sure how many timeouts they got left. 23-14, Florida leads State. Number 7, Texas Tech leads Arizona State 22-19 with 1:17 to go. But Sam Levitt's got Arizona State on a drive up near midfield, trailing by 3. Other games in progress. We just told you before we went to the break, A&M has scored a touchdown, now 28-20 over Arkansas. Marcel Reed, who will be here next week, has thrown 3 touchdown passes for the Aggies. Other games in a delay. We've had some weather delays around the country today. Ball State and Akron. Ball State leads 35-25. That is in the fourth quarter. North Texas leads UTSA in the fourth quarter 55-17. Southern Miss leads UL Lafayette 20-10. That game is going to the fourth quarter. Early in the second quarter, number 8 Oregon leads Rutgers 21-3. Dante Moore has thrown a couple of touchdown passes. Number 18, Virginia, tied with Washington State at 7. That game is early in the second quarter. About halfway through the first in Lexington, no score, number 21, Texas and Kentucky. Penn State, sans James Franklin, leads Iowa 7-3. That game is late in the first quarter in Iowa City. Maryland and UCLA are scoreless about 2/3 of the way through the first quarter at the Rose Bowl. Hawaii leads Colorado State 7-0 in the first quarter. Georgia State leads Texas Southern 7-3. That's also in the first quarter. Games coming up here at the bottom of the hour. In fact, about to kick off right now. Number 11, Tennessee, and number 6, Alabama. Number 20, USC, and number 13, Notre Dame. Florida Atlantic at number 19, South Florida. Pitt is at Syracuse, 6:45 on the SEC Network. Number 16, Missouri at Auburn. 7 o'clock, the Holy War. Number 23, Utah. Number 15, BYU. That game is in Provo. 7 o'clock kick for number 24, Cincinnati at Oklahoma State. 8:45, Nevada's at New Mexico. 9 o'clock, Lafayette at Oregon State. That's on the CW if you're interested in watching that. And 9:30 tonight, Florida State is at Stanford. ESPN at the late kick. Earlier finals today. In fact, this one just went final. This is an interesting score. UAB beat Memphis today 31-24. It's interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's Memphis's first loss. They're 6-1 now. Second thing is UAB fired Trent Dilfer last week. The interim coach there is Alex Mortensen, the late Chris Mortensen, the longtime information man for ESPN. His son, the interim coach today, they get the win, UAB does, and hands Memphis their first loss of the season.
That's exciting. You always feel like you see that interim coach bump. Somebody gets in there, brings some new energy, and they got a big win today.
You get a little jolt sometimes. Number 1, Ohio State shuts out Wisconsin 34-0. That means that Wisconsin has been beaten the last 2 weeks by a combined total of 71-0. Julian Sand, we were mentioning his name. He threw for 393 yards and 4 touchdowns. Seat couldn't be any hotter for Luke Fickell. Number 3, Indiana stays undefeated at 7-0. They beat Michigan State 38-13. Fernando Mendoza threw for 332 yards and 4 touchdowns. Number 9, Georgia beat number 5, Ole Miss 43-35. 4 touchdown passes for Gunnar Stockton today. Number 12, Georgia Tech beat Duke 27-18. Some early gasps for the Blue Devils. They fumbled on the 1-yard line going in. Georgia Tech got the 97-yard, I think it was, scoop and score. And then Duke muffed a field goal in the first half where they really kind of dominated the yardstick but not the scoreboard. And Tech got after them in the fourth quarter. Number 14, Oklahoma bounces back from their first loss of the season. They beat South Carolina 26-7. John Mateer better today than he was a week ago, though he only threw for 150 yards. Michigan beats Washington 24-7. Bryce Underwood threw a couple of touchdown passes for the Wolverines. UConn beat Boston College 38-23. It was Houston over Arizona 31-28. Cougars are 6-1. TCU beat Baylor 42-36. Tulane goes to 6-1. They beat Army 24-17. Central Michigan beat Bowling Green 27-6. It was Miami of Ohio over Eastern Michigan 44-30. UCF beat West Virginia 45-13. Toledo over Kent State 45-10. Buffalo over UMass 28-21. This one was a surprise. Northwestern beat Purdue 19-0. Not necessarily that Northwestern won the game, but that Purdue got shut out. They had been scoring points on just about everybody. They've been losing, but they've been scoring points. They get shut out today in Evanston. Troy beat UL Monroe 37-14. It was SMU over Clemson 35-24. Clemson is now 3-4 on this season.
That's our big win.
Yeah, it is. Air Force beat Wyoming 24-21. Boise State over UNLV 56-31. Coastal Carolina over App State 45-37. James Madison over Old Dominion 63-27. In 2 overtimes, Marshall beat Texas State 40-37. Temple beat Charlotte 49-14. In Ohio, beat Northern Illinois by a score of 48-21. And last night, Rich, the Miami Hurricanes suffered their first loss of the season. Louisville beat them 24-21. Carson Beck threw 4 interceptions in that game and really had a 5th one waved off on a pretty ticky-tack roughing the quarterback.
I get it. I mean, the only 2 games I've lost this year, we've thrown 4 interceptions in flag football.
But you took it well both times.
Yeah.
I remember. All right, we'll take a break. Come back. Game Balls is next. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day, presented by Super Chevy in Yingling. Game Balls.
You first.
I love this part. Wes Weeks, I thought he made some game-changing moments. Played pretty well, filling in for his brother. I'll give Trey Dez. I mean, he made the big plays and made the opportunities with everything he was given.
So I'm going to go with A.J. Halsey because I like A.J. Halsey.
He's awesome.
I liked A.J. Halsey the first time I saw him on the practice field. I like A.J. Halsey every time I watch him play. And he plays with an attitude. He plays with an
Hit he
edge.
had in the first quarter was the first time I felt like somebody was punched all year long.
Go hit somebody.
No.
I like A.J. Halsey, and he led LSU in tackles today. And I'm going to go with Xavier Thomas. The one play is enough because it gave LSU a chance. They were stuck in the mud, and it looked like they had absolutely no momentum at all. And he changed that almost by himself. And it was a hell of a play by Nussmeier to get the ball off. But Xavier Thomas gave him a chance with that play. That's
nothing,
a hell of a play.
Yeah, there was nothing executed to the way that play was drawn up. Xavier Thomas made a play.
Yeah. No. Okay, go.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, great. So I give Xavier Thomas one of our game balls. We're brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. You know, if you're making Sunday dinner tomorrow, you're making it with rice, make it with Supreme Rice. Get over here to Rouse's. And anywhere you buy rice, you can get the brown, the long grain, the medium grain, the jasmine, the parboiled rice. Supreme Rice, grown, milled, and processed down in Southwest Louisiana since the 1930s. More for your dollar, and also you're supporting our Louisiana farmers through the Climate Smart program, which talks about reducing methane emissions and promoting water conservation. For more information, go to SupremeRice.com. We're back to wrap it up after this. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Eagle 98.1 Game Day wrapping up here from Rouse's Burbank at Lee. Let them cover your game day spread for your tailgating, for your home, any of your get-togethers. You come over here to the left side of the grocery store. You get into all your beer, all your wine, all your spirits, the bakery, the Chef's Collection, the Chop House, all your Louisiana seafood here at Rouse's. Never run out of ice. You're going into campus. It's an easy little drive from here at Burbank at Lee. We appreciate them hosting us every single week. This week it's Postgame with the early start. Next week, we're watching A&M right now, 31-20, but Arkansas is on a drive. A&M with the lead, 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. We thought had LSU won today and A&M won today, the game day would have been a lock next week. LSU's lost, and now A&M. I got a feeling this is going to come down to it. I suspect that A&M will win this game, but Arkansas usually makes this interesting, so we'll see.
You'd be happy with a touchdown here in the game, isn't he?
Yeah, that would be fine. One of my picks on my on the Daily Show, but so I don't know if game day is going to be here or not. They would have to do it off of a loss for LSU, so they'll probably end up going somewhere else. But I don't know that. We'll see. I do know that this one's going to sting for a while. Even though Vanderbilt was a favorite, Lord knows we talked enough about that. But LSU just expects to go to Nashville and win, and they needed this win to put themselves in position to get to November with a chance to get into the playoff. And now you have left yourself with no outs. You got to run the table pretty much to get into the playoff.
Did you see that on a first and goal to go on the one?
Did they know what they were doing?
They knew what they do, and they rushed right in there.
And did they
score?
score? Yeah,
it's amazing.
Okay, well, I think I've talked enough about that sequence. I'll pick it up. I'll pick it up tomorrow morning on Football Sunday. But this one's going to sting, and I can't tell you that there's a win left on the schedule by itself that could turn this around. Even if they were to win next week, I mean, you'd have to go on a run here. The confidence is shaken significantly, I think. In this group.
Put lightly.
And look, the players and the coaches, it's soul-searching time. I don't know that you can turn this around. I do know that most people are going to tell you, hey, we lost it today. I'm talking about fans. We lost it today, and we expect this thing to sputter down to 7-5 or 8-4 in the Music City Bowl, and we're kind of on to, the next thing. It's up to the players and the coaches to change minds
No.
because you have to change minds. I think you had everybody on. I know you had everybody on board at the beginning of the season, and I know you had everybody on board after Clemson, and you lost some people after Ole Miss, but you still had. Okay, let's see, and the quarterback's going to get healthy, and everything's going to be fine. You lost a lot of people today.
I'll tell you, it's really tough when you walk into your film review, and they're going to put the tight ends and the offensive line and the running backs, and they're going to have their short yardage film review. This is defeating. I mean, like, they've had these issues before. They've watched the film. They've talked about it. They've given a plan to get better, and then they go out there and fail again. I mean, at some point, it gets tough to walk into that meeting and be like, what are we going to do different?
They'll have to figure something out next week. Your game time is at 6:30. We'll be on the air for 1:30 for pregame. Tomorrow, football Sunday from the Queen will be there at 10 a.m. going up to the noon kickoff for all the NFL action, including the Saints and the Bears. For Richard Dixon, all of us here at Rouse's and everybody back at the flagship, I'm Charles Henniger saying thank you and good night. Vanderbilt wins it. This has been Eagle 98.1 Game Day.